Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has harem with Ilia and Yang X.L rwby. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by BLAZERAPTOR54 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Episode 1. A Lonely Fox. The blonde shot upright on a small twin bed, he yawned as he stretched his well-built form. He rubbed his head, where his fox ears twitched as his blonde hair clouded their form a little. He yawned, taking a deep breath before getting up. He looked at the alarm clock, noting that it was 4 a.m, stretching and slightly dancing to the music playing on his alarm. He bopped his head as he spun on his feet and grabbed his clothing for the day. Which were black cargo pants and a red t-shirt with a symbol of a nine-tailed fox on the back. The blonde yawned, exposing unnaturally long canine teeth as he rubbed his head. He reached down toward the bed, grabbing his scroll. Walking out of the room, he grabbed a few towels he had at the doorstep. He stopped when he came into the living room. It wasn't really a living room, no TV, but a few easels with completed paintings were in the middle, and a couch was facing them. There was a small shelf, a picture of a woman with red hair and bright blue eyes in the photo of what appeared to be a younger him. He smiled as he walked over toward it, picking it up and rubbing it with a thumb. He kissed the top of it after a few moments of looking at it and put it back down near an urn. "Morning mom," the blonde happily greeted mentally and looked at the urn. "I got to go to class today. I can't be long because I got an appointment to finish with an art dealer named rwby after class, then I got the dance lessons you made me get when I was younger." Sighing, he stroked the back of his finger on the urn. "Catch you later mom." Quickly he went into the bathroom, getting his toothbrush and began to vigorously scrub his teeth. He got anything he could, all the while humming the song from earlier. Finishing, he spat into the sink and stretched once more. The blonde took a look at the mirror, rubbing his whisker marks and sighed. It wasn't a frontis trait so much as a birthmark. From the few photos of his father, a tall blonde-haired man, he also had the whiskers. There was always something about the photo, especially since it seemed like his father had been so happy. Then why did he just walk away? His mother never really talked to him after that, instead she just cryptically revered to his father as Bakaku, an old slang for idiot 9. He never really knew what it meant, but he didn't really care. "When I finally return, the things that I learned carry me back home," Naruto sang softly into the mirror, listening to his mother's voice in his head as he moved away from the mirror. He walked out of the bathroom, looking at the bland apartment that he had in Vale City. He'd be graduating Signal Academy in a couple of months and 2 weeks. He already placed his transcripts into Beacon Academy, with them having high hopes of passing through. Walking over toward his equipment, he picked up a chikudo, looking at the little charm on the hilt. It was a picture of a small little flame symbol his mom had put on, and it was originally his father's blade from what little she gave him. He took it with him toward his room, where he stripped of his clothing and began to change into his new clothing. Like a fox shedding its fur, Naruto tied the scabbard of the blade to his pants inside one of the belt loops. Removing the blade, he inspected the sword, looking at the indents and chips in the steel. A blade that obviously seen its fair share of combat, practice or otherwise. Sheathing the blade inside the scabbard, he checked at the gearing in the scabbard that allowed his weapon to take on its ranged form. A bow. The name of the weapon, a name his mother gave to it, was Red Flower. Sighing, Naruto walks over toward kitchen and gets out an energy drink. Another day, another sunrise. He looked out his apartment's kitchen window. In the faint distance, he could see the upper-class district where the wealthy owned homes near Beacon Academy. The goal of which he has strived for the past year. Bleeding, sweating, crying at every failure and picking himself back up to persevere through it all. Taking in the sights, Naruto just clutched his chest, taking a deep breath as he somehow brought a smile to his face. Depression and the voices in his head always spoke negativity, but he could try to find positivity if he searched hard enough. With a quick prayer, bowing his head against the window, the blonde fox Frontis was ready to start his day. His fox ears stood up, an indication of his upbeat mood, or an attempt at least. He walked toward his apartment door, only to get a sudden call on his scroll. He looked down at it, weird. "I never expected them to call back so soon." Naruto swiped the scroll for it to answer the call. "Naruto Namikaze, future greatest huntsman on Remnant." "Ah yes, young Namikaze, this is rwby. My sources told me you were very much the early bird. Anyway, is it okay if I drop by right now? Well, I'm in town to take a look at your artwork." Mirabella, an elderly woman, spoke over the phone. Well, ma'am. It's honestly a bad time. I have to catch the train to Patch at 5 and I'm getting ready to head out the door. Aren't you able to come in this evening?" Naruto questioned as he walked toward the door. "Why yes, of course, I was just looking to clear up my schedule early." She sounded happy to have been in contact if her chipper tone was any indication. Know the feeling, Mrs. Mirabella, you and your husband are always on call for highly talented artists, Naruto replied as she chuckled over the phone. He seemed to be happier than what he began out as. Well, when you sent the blurry photos, I could tell the pictures spoke of a story, a talent lost on many artists seem to lack in today's age. It would be my pleasure to work with you, young man, Mirabella spoke with enthusiasm, ready to take him under her name. Well, thank you, Naruto thanks her as he walked in front of his door. Pacing, waiting to get off the call so he could continue with his day. Who taught you? Mirabella inquired, curious as to know who Naruto's teacher was. My mother, she had me be creative since I was a child, Naruto reveals, remembering all the times his mother made him sit down and express himself through art. Ah, lovely, can't wait to meet her. The older woman told Naruto over the scroll, and she looked at him as his face became sour. Well, you'll need a time machine, she died about 10 years back to a massive aneurysm, Naruto tells Mirabella, sighing as she did. Oh dear, very sorry, I hope I didn't offend. Mirabella sounded concerned, not wanting to push away a prospect. You didn't offend me, no, I'm the one who needs to worry about offending you, Naruto replied, rubbing the back of his head just behind his ears. Mirabella laughed, especially with a rather good payday possibly on the way. He opens the door from his apartment, looking at the large hallway. Slowly closing his door so he didn't catch a noise complaint again from his nosy neighbor, Rogers, he began to walk down the hallway leading to the elevator. So, Mr. Namikaze, what does a young artist attempt to do for fun? She inquires, curious to what one so young does when left to his own devices. Naruto answered her quickly as he got into the elevator, many things, but I have to be going now, I need to catch my train. Alright, see you around 5. She questioned him, making sure. Naruto nodded and smiles, that is perfect, thank you. Vale City was vast, a large city with skylines with a view of Mount Glen from the very tallest buildings. The streets of Vale all converged toward the center, an upper-class district where the seat of government was. The council building was massive, a palace formerly before being divided up into chambers. Chambers for laws, commerce, representatives, and even the political heads of all of Vale. The councilman, and it was also here where Naruto would take the Terraneo Express, a subway that was underground and ran underwater in a massive tunnel into Patch Town. Currently, Naruto was rounding a corner street, passing a nightclub that was shady. He heard police sirens in the distance, sighing, he looked back at the sirens of where they'd be rounding a corner any moment. Keep on moving forward, keep moving forward, Naruto mentally mantras as he walks with grace through the crowd of people, not impacting any of them. He saw the electric billboards broadcast for a band called Bloody Zoo, which would play in a few weeks in Vale. The band was a favorite of Naruto's. He had never been to a concert for them before and he wanted to go so badly. His stomach growled, he was hungry, but he didn't have the time to stop as he made his way across the street. Finally getting into the upper-class district. He saw a subway entrance and entered it. Vale's subway system was vast, gigantic, even bullet trains went underground to where Grim couldn't reach unless it was sabotaged for them to be so. Naruto was going toward Bullet Train 8, which would go directly to Patch Island via a 20-mile underwater tunnel. He smelled smoke from tobacco and even weed as he entered the train. He looked over at the other seats, finding the source coming from several people in their seats. Naruto didn't mind weed, he never had any, but he had a buddy that worked in instrument shop. He got his music lessons every other week. His buddy smoked it like a bad habit and was stoned out of his gourd about every other day. In fact, this Friday was supposed to be for the violin, something Naruto had always wanted to try. Truth be told, he was good at more ethnic musical instruments like guzhings and flamingo guitars from Mistral and Vacuo respectively. Currently, Naruto was listening to some heavy metal. It was ethnic in the form that the metal band was from Menagerie and they had a song about depression and overcoming it. Good old-fashioned Bloody Zoo, and he laid against his seat. He looked down at his hand, frowning at the scar on his wrist. He has a scar across his right wrist, vertically, a cut meant to kill. A child, the tender age of 13. He had been told that his mother was gone and that he had no relatives. Police even tried to find his father, but only to come up empty-handed. It was also the day he unlocked his aura, cementing his path. The child stared at the mirror, it was cracked, his fist bloody as he looked at himself in it. The blonde looked down at a small knife on the sink. He took a deep breath, holding out his right wrist, cutting up from the base. I can't keep going anymore, I can't, he cries as he held the tip of the knife, pressing it into the skin. Slowly pressing deeper, getting used to the pain, it didn't matter to him, not anymore. One swift cut at the end, blood spurting out, Naruto fell backward and hit the wall. He breathed slowly, enough to allow the bleeding to flow normally. He just looked at his reflection. He whimpered as it looked back at him. Lifeless blue eyes, no light, no hope. Please just let me go, Naruto murmurs. He sobbed as he held his knees with his good arm. I can't do this anymore. He laid there, a small pool of blood slowly forming just under his wrist. He looked at the reflection a little bit more. All the gold in the world couldn't make us feel better. I just want to be done with it, Naruto mumbled at his reflection, I can't do it anymore. Naruto's eyes squeezed shut, tears streamed down them, I hate the fact I wake up and I don't see mom smile, just please let me stay asleep. However, instead of the cold, he felt the warmth. He looked down, seeing the wound slowly closes up, he looked at himself as an orange outline painted his body. He sobbed as he suddenly realized what he truly had done, too caught in the moment earlier to fully experience the gravity of it all. Remembering her smile, Naruto sobs, remembering the dreams he expressed to her. His aura ignited around him, slowly the wound hisses as it closes, sealing shut, save for the dry blood where the cut used to be. He almost broke his promise to his mom. He threw the knife at the tub, it cracked the ceramic from how hard the throw was. The black metal underneath was exposed, Naruto rocked back and forth, sobbing. He didn't know what to do anymore, he wanted to die, but he didn't want to break his promise to his mother. Day and night, he spent hours upon hours trying to unlock his aura, and here at the last minute, it unleashes itself to save him. He didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse. All this time, all this struggle, all the training. And, in the end, it came at his weakest moment. However, while the wound closed, a scar remained to show him that his soul had just saved him itself. He sobbed, clutching his body, rocking back and forth. He now wore that scar, he wore it openly sometimes, and the people never questioned him about it and assumed it was a battle wound. However, to him, it was a reminder of how close and easy it was to fall into the inner demons that plagued many people. The demon, depression, was not some twisted creature. It was you, the real you, constantly making you double-check yourself. Constantly, always constantly, doubting your own ability. It pushed you towards the darker recesses of the mind. To things that you'd never do while in your right mind. Suicide. No one, never, in a sober and clear mind wants to put an end to themselves. So, every day he looked at the scar, no matter how faded it got, it was a reminder. A reminder that he was his own demon, that he himself could be the end, but for 13 reasons he listed for wanting to go away, he always found 3 more to just stay. The 3 reasons were simple. You have a promise to be kept, a new sun is just around the darkest moon, there are people that love you. It was a struggle, he sometimes fell back into the thought, and the demon would rear its very familiar head to just gloat and welcome him back. It whispered sweet nothings, sweet oblivion in his ear. The end to all thoughts, the end to all pain and suffering. However, what would be waiting for him on the other side? Would he just stop or go somewhere else? It was constant in its barrage, goading him to be angry at the world, goading him to finish what he started. But the blonde kept his head held high in pride. He had pride in being the son of 2 huntsmen, and he wasn't about to let himself die without doing something meaningful with his life. Even if he felt like he didn't belong. Because he knew that his life would one day be one that saved others. If he died, then a few people, maybe a few dozens, may die because he didn't become a huntsman. It wasn't a matter of destiny, it was a matter of forging his path. His blood being the water to cool the tempered steel of his body, his mind as the will and his heart being the flames. He was no different than the sword he wields. Even still, what if his adoptive sister were to hear that he ended himself? It would devastate her. Her name echoed in his mind, a brown-skinned girl with spots, brown hair and a long ponytail, the sweetest smile. Ilia. Naruto Namikaze had moved from Atlas to Vale just a year ago, mostly keeping to himself, since he was wanting to go to Beacon after he was done with vocational schooling. His previous school, uncreatively, Atlas Introductory Academy, was a far gone past he wished to forget about. However, to forget about the hard times is to forget about the one person that made life worthwhile for a while. Going from a bad stretch in a foster home and running away, Naruto didn't have much to look forward to. Despite him passing his entrance exam, he didn't feel like he belongs in Atlas. Mostly human students save for a few Frona students, out of those few many were bullied. One of them, an old friend of his in the form of Ilia, snapped from all the bullying and such. She was an upperclassman, very good at her heart. Until the mine that her parents worked in collapsed and students laughed about it. They laughed at a tragedy and what was new. In a day and age when people put tragedies in the form of memes, making jokes out of a suicide or racism. Dark comedy was okay, but there was the difference between dark comedy and just being a douchebag. A lot of the upperclassmen in Atlas Introductory Academy were raised an old way, which was human on top, Franus on the bottom. It made Naruto's blood boil, and when she left, he admittingly wasn't too far behind. He wasn't born in Atlas, nor was he raised in the frozen continent and country. He was born in Menagerie, went to grade school in Menagerie before his mom constantly moved due to her job. She had been, ironically, a sales manager for a dust company called Western Remnant Dust, and prior to that a huntress before becoming pregnant with him. A small, very new company, promising cheap and available dust to many customers. Based out in Vacuo, Naruto spent his later child until he was 10 years old in Vacuo. Where, unfortunately, his mother died to her massive aneurysm. It was instant, no pain, which was weird because she was still a young woman of 32 at the time. However, he came home after a day playing with other kids, she was laying on the couch. She looked like she was sleeping, but a small trickle of blood was at her mouth and nose. That day, however, a boy learned that life could throw the hardest curveballs. He wasn't rich, even now, his mother left him a good inheritance. It mostly paid apartments that he'd come to live in. Airfare tickets, clothing, and food. It almost got stolen from him once, but he managed to get it back, thankfully. His whole dream, his whole ambition was to become a huntsman. It had been his dream as a kid and a dream his mother encouraged. Though, his mother worried about his obsession with that dream, the nights he would set up a fake dummy made of pillows to punch. Even sneaking one of his father's books, a manual he had written. It was funny at first, until Naruto tried picking fights with older kids and got his face pummeled as a result. He learned a valuable lesson, never pick a fight you can't win, and never instigate. However, ever since his junior year in Atlas's more militaristic version of Signal, Naruto got his transfers approved by someone he'd never thought would come through. But, as the old saying went, beggars could not be choosers. He came into Vale mid-year, just after the start of the senior year in Signal Academy. With it, his transfers had all gotten approved, marked down by Tiang Xiaolong, one of the academy's longtime instructors and a very well-mannered man. However, Naruto wasn't exactly into making friends. He stayed to himself, he didn't speak much unless it was to an instructor, and he just made sure to do the work and get out. It wasn't that he didn't have anything against anyone, he didn't, but his last few years of life had revolved around his friends in Atlas. Flint, Neon, Ilia, and a cute little ginger named Penny. Flint Cole, virtuoso, was the musical genius of the little group of wayward souls. His father had lost the business to Schnee Company rivals, and currently, he was keeping his family afloat by playing at lavish parties held by, ironically, the Schnee Dust Company. Neon Cat, party girl, she had taken Naruto a few times to parties. Never really amounted to much, she did hand him his first try at alcohol, which he and she discovered that he was too much of lightweight to even amount to a drinker. She came from a tough home and was solely in Atlas Academy to impress her military officer of a father. Ilia Amatola, Naruto's best friend, he was one of the few that knew her true nature as a faunus. She also hid Naruto more or less, though she never really liked the White Fang. After the death of her parents, she ran away to join them. She was the only person that Naruto found sisterly, and not to mention she trusted him with another massive secret that only he and she knew. That she was a lesbian. Penny Polendina, a strange girl with a sister that traveled with her, Seal. Naruto liked Penny, despite the few times they had been able to hang out. It hurt him to leave them behind in the endless winter, but after seeing the true nature of Atlas, he felt disgusted to ever think of himself representing that place. So, what if his life became a little harder? His moral code still was the center of his existence. And, his morality painted Atlas as not worth representing. Naruto leaned back, closing his eyes. Naruto ran down the cold hallways as he followed a girl, time seems to fall into a slow movement as he neared her. He finally passes her, cutting her off, holding his arms out with tears in his eyes. He looked at the girl, a frown on his face. She had brown skin normally, but it was blue as she looked at Naruto, with red spots. Naruto knew that it meant she was sad and angry, probably sad that she was running away, while Naruto stood in her way. The blonde looked at her, he wore a heavy coat and sweatpants, their eyes met. I can't let you do this to yourself without knowing, is this really what you want? Naruto, don't play stupid, you want to leave too. Ilia yelled at him, accusing him of being a hypocrite. So, Naruto replied and kept his arms held out, I care enough to damn well question you. You're not even my blood. The chameleon Frana screamed at him. He screamed back at her, his voice filled with hurt and passion. No, but you're my sister, and I can't just let you walk away from something without. Looking to the side, Naruto sighs, saying goodbye. His face was scrunched up as he looked right at her, he then slowly started to sob, you're my closest friend Ilia. I didn't open up to the others like I opened up to you, I love you sis, and I just wanted to know if you really want this. There's no going back from it, Naruto blocked her when she tried to run forward past him, just please listen. Then come with me. Ilia yelled, come with me and join up. You know I can't, Naruto closed his eyes and took a deep breath, I can't break a promise that I can keep. Naruto, Ilia looked at her best friend, you know no matter what you do. I know she can't come back, goddammit. Naruto screamed at her, and it is not about mom, it's for me to prove them wrong. He pointed toward the dorm hall, his aura flared around him, he looked right at Ilia. I hate them as much as you do, but not every human is racist, and not every Franus has the best interests of you in mind, which is why if we must go this way. Naruto held his hand out, I don't want to say goodbye. Ilia looked at him, she was younger than him by a year or so, and he still held the young brother spot in her eyes. She reached out with her hand, grasping his until their fingers interlocked. She then grabbed him suddenly, pulling him into a hug before kissing the top of his head. She smiled, then I'll see you later. They broke apart. Naruto took a deep breath as he held back his tears as he stepped out of the way of Ilia. She ran past him, stopping and then turning to him, she had a sad smile on her face. However, she suddenly gave him a thumbs up. You go, she orders him, and show them that your Naruto Namek is the little baddest that could. Naruto couldn't help it, he chuckled, and you don't lose yourself Ilia please. She nodded, starting her running again. Naruto held his head low, he watched as she rounded a corner before walking away. However, his walk turned into a stumble until he slumped against a wall and slid down it. Slowly he brought his knees up to his face, sobbing as he felt alone. Now arriving at Station 1, Patch Town. Naruto's eyes snapped open, briefly turning red as he fluttered them to focus. When he got up they slowly turned back into their normal blue, it was a common effect he had when he felt emotional. His eyes would just go red when he felt upset, and he was. He really missed Ilia. Departing the train, Naruto stretched as he got into the station and looked up the steps. The day was going to be a very active day. He climbed up the steps, quickly going in between people. The train had arrived a little bit early, meaning as soon as he poked his head up from the underground staircase, the blonde could see the sun rising from just behind Patch's mountain. Uncreatively called Mount Patchy. Patch Town itself was like a mini vale, scaled down to mini building that at most reached 4 stories into the air. Not impressive compared to the skyscrapers of the city, but Patch Town was bustling with activity. Trade, eateries, people playing street games. Patch Town was wholesome in the sense that there wasn't as much crime in this small town. Unlike Vale, if you were in the poorer district, you had a 1 in 20 chance of being robbed that very night. He quickly made his way over to fast food restaurant, McBurger, and quickly went inside. Quickly ordering a coffee and a couple of hash browns, Naruto ran out of the restaurant after giving them the money owed by scanning his scroll on the scanner. Looking at the hustle and bustle of the town around him, Naruto watches as a man in a bowler hat was sitting at an outside restaurant table, talking to a girl with mixed hair and eyes that made her look like the famous Neapolitan ice cream. They didn't pay any attention to him, nor did he to them, they were probably father and daughter enjoying a day out in Patch. His ears stood straight up as he made his way into the outer parts of the town, moving toward a large 3-story building. Signal Academy. The blonde quickly made his way inside by scanning his scroll against the door's scanner. Security in the school was laxed, but it required your scroll to get in to keep people from simply walking inside. Naruto made his way through the halls, going upstairs to where his locker was. He opened the locker 1010, and put his miscellany stuff inside of it. He yawns, closing the locker and looked over at several girls as they walked by. One had green hair, the others were all blonde. The leader of the group had lilac eyes, she seemed to be talking about boys. Typical teenage girl stuff. The blonde made his way into class, going back down a flight of stairs to do so onto the first floor. The faunus entered, yawning as he took his seat. His first class of the day was history, followed by mathematics. Naruto was asleep on the desk, his history class was boring. Then again, he never really got much sleep at home, but he had a secret weapon going to make sure he never fell behind. Something he revealed to Mr. Xiaolong after being put in detention for supposedly cheating. He had his scroll set to record mode, recording everything in the background, but he had managed to set it to pick up on Xiaolong's voice specifically to be louder. Occasionally, humorously, a small snore could be heard on each of the recordings. The blonde's movement varied from small little twitches to sudden hand jerks at some points. Until the sound of a bell sounded, his head suddenly shot straight up, he watched as other students got up and got ready to leave. You know, Naruto looked at a blonde-haired man with a small stubble. It's kind of creepy on how you get up exactly as the bell goes off. I grew up on alarms, Naruto got and stretched. Mr. Xiaolong was slightly taller than the blonde young man in front of him, he looked at the kid and smirked. You know we got a test coming up. Yeah, Naruto drawls as he rolled his eyes, just remember our deal. Yeah, Yang Xiaolong held up a ticket and made Naruto's eyes wide, bloody zoo, front row. The teen just chuckled, he nodded and rubbed the back of his head, guess I'll ace that test then. You know, Naruto stopped what he was doing, you look like you're not eating much kid, you alright? Yeah, fine, just a rough month, Naruto tells Taeyang, he continued to stretch and yawn. The man looked at Naruto, if you want, I can invite you over for dinner. Sorry, Naruto shakes his head and apologizes, I can't because I have a previous engagement later on today. Otai watched as the blonde picked up his satchel that he always put in his locker before leaving. The older blonde watched as the younger left his classroom, you better be taking care of yourself, I read the file. Lunch came by, Naruto was sitting at table by himself, sketching in a notepad as he ate his food. It was instant noodles that he got from the small snack bar, he was currently doodling pictures inside of the notepad. Various people, various places, finding inspiration for his next art pieces if the current ones he was going to sell to a dealer proved fortuitously lucrative. Naruto chewed a hard noodle that failed to boil, he grimaces at the cracking, sighing at the fact the dumb microwave once again gave out too early on the noodles. Something about the water vapor made it stop, perhaps it was just bad luck. His current drawing was that of himself, but there was another him standing just behind him, mirrored. Unlike normal him, this one had demonic features and an evil smile. It seemed to be leaning toward Naruto's ear. Whispering. "You cannot weather me," he imagines it would say, "I always come to collect." Naruto took a deep breath and he'd always reply ever since cementing his resolve, "I am the bird that falls and rises." Taking a deep breath, the blonde finished a sketch just as the bell rang. He looked at it, strangely, he had been influenced in some way to draw the character of Demon Naruto, with the shading one would associate red hair and eyes. Demon Naruto, the name he gave to his depression when it first appeared in physical form in dreams after his failed suicide, was an absolute cold-hearted bastard piece of Naruto that he'd love to one day bury. It made fun of everything, even itself, and even made comments on how Ilia would just be better off dead Naruto's hands if they two should ever meet again. Perhaps Demon Naruto was not only his depression, but the repressed rage of years with self-abuse, racism, and abandonment Naruto had also faced. The darkness within the light. Then again, perhaps, Naruto was just crazy. He got up, leaving last out of the cafeteria, heading toward range class, and to the latter part of the day. Walking down the hallways, Naruto saw a girl with silver eyes talking to the lilac-eyed girl from earlier, laughing at something they watched on their scroll. Suddenly he could hear yelling, watching as a smaller teen was pushed against his locker by a rusty-haired teen. The teen was much taller than the smaller teen, who winced as the older teen demanded his lunch money. The classic bully who needs his nose busted across his face. Time moved slower in the latter part of the day for him, it was the time he truly focused on honing his craft as a huntsman in training. The blonde fox Franus grabs his satchel, placing it into his locker. He looked at an old sepia photograph he kept in his locker, one of his mom and him. He had carried that photograph around since he was a little kid, it was a good luck charm if anything. Closing the locker with a heavy sigh, he took a look at the clock, it didn't matter if he showed up late to the next class or not, there was no lesson to be learned there, just take aim and shoot until you feel you got it down. Getting himself situated, the blonde walks down the hall, going out into the back of the school where the range was. He could see where some people shot fully automatic weapons, one even had 2 daggers that were built with a revolver base. Firing rounds, while his mohawk waved in the wind. It was windy today, not good for people who used physical bolts from crossbow weapons or arrows from normal archery weapons. However, Naruto didn't have to worry about that. He unclipped Red Flower from his belt line, pressing a button on her hilt that made it contort and the sheath morph into a bow-like shape where a string enhanced with gravity dust poke itself out from the hilt of his blade. The rest of the emerged from the blade, allowing him to grip it and test the draw. He saw everything was in working order and then walked towards the range. He took a position, stumping his foot down on the 50-yard button, making several dummies pop. He pulled back on the bowstring while channeling aura into it, focusing lenses popped out of the scabbard just in front of where an arrow-like shape was slowly forming. His eyes blazed with light as he focused his aura, then lets it fly. A loud snap occurring as it flew. The aura arrow made a high-pitched noise as it soared, taking the dummy's head off. Naruto took a deep breath as he formed another arrow with aura and aimed for the midsection as he overdrew the string once more. Naruto took a deep breath, imagining the target as a grim, he then loosed another arrow and heard it whistle and hit the target hard enough to splinter the midsection of the dummy. He looked at where he was standing, the school had markers, an indication of the distance from the target. Saw he moved his foot over to make the dummies get taken back. At the 150-meter mark, a normal longbow would be nearing its effective range. Naruto took a deep breath as he looked right at the next dummy being loaded further down the range. 200 meters. Naruto took aim, and for the umpteenth time this week, he didn't imagine a dummy as a grim. He imagined his father, the one who abandoned him, and his mother. He imagined the shock of his own father's face if his son ever had the chance, especially if the meeting prior went way south, perhaps it would look like a face of man who long expected his death coming from his own child. The face that bore no emotion, fit for an emotionless and cruel bastard. Naruto set loose the aura arrow, it screamed from the extra overdraw, it took off the head of the dummy before slamming it in a tree nearby. Just a few meters past the 200-meter mark dummy. If Demon Naruto was to have any freedom, it was against Grim, and it would most certainly be against his father if the two should ever meet up. Naruto watched as the target was moved back to the 215 meters, he took aim and focused. He fired the arrow, but it soared just shy of the dummy's head. He growled slightly as he looked at the dummy. He didn't bother firing another shot. He knew 205 meters was the max range he could hit accurately. Unless the target was big, but each shot from the bow was a drawback if he missed constantly. Missing once was a waste of single percent of his aura. It may sound small, but after 10 shots 15. The numbers added up over time. He could start a fight, 100%, but if he had gotten hit by a big attack and lost 50% of his aura shield in one go. That 10 extra and 15 extra may come back to bite him in his ass. That was the flaw of aura weapons, they ate away at your natural aura shield, which is why they were not exceedingly expensive to make. A few thousand leans, but compared to some other weapons. That was cheap. Naruto reformed Red Flower back to her sword form, attaching the scabbard to his hip. He looked at the target, his hands clenching as it took the image of a dead man lying on the ground. The blonde had no ill will against anyone, but his father, there was no amount of forgiveness that could ever make him able to keep from attacking, let alone letting the man live. Perhaps this was the wrong thing, nursing the rage inside. Taking a deep breath, he walked away. Naruto swiftly dodged a slash from an instructor. He backed up while shuffling his feet and moving about as if he was dancing. The blonde brought his blade up, blocking the much larger sword of Crow Braun, Mr. Braun as he referred to in the classroom. He had been made to participate, and so far, he was shining. He swiftly dodged another slash, parrying a thrust while rolling his body to gain a better distance away from Mr. Braun. The blonde took a deep breath as he leaned back and dodged another slash. He went onto his hands, flipping backward, but then tried to kick the instructor. Naruto managed to get a clean hit on Crow's shoulder, moving back to dodge a slash as he spun on his heel to go to Crow's side. It was like a dance. His feet went closer together when he went to spin to add speed to it. Slashing Crow, Naruto found that his slash didn't make contact save for cutting a piece of fabric off the man's cloak. Crow dodges a thrust by Naruto as the blonde stepped into it, moving back when the man tried to counter thrust. Taking deep breaths in his movements, Naruto's eyes read through Crow's movements. Finding an opening, he leaps up and spun on his side while slashing his sword out. The instructor backstepped, slapping the blonde away with the flat end of his blade, but Naruto easily caught himself from hitting the ground and hopped up on his feet. Standing there, holding his sword directly at Crow. Both circled each other a few times before both charged. He knew the instructor wasn't taking him seriously. Naruto charged, stopping and thrusting his sword just as Crow moved back, leaning back on one foot while thrusting his large blade as well. Naruto tucked his ears behind his head, the blade barely missing them, but there he saw his opening, hopped up in time to kick at Crow. Good. Crow praises as he blocked the kick, having no other choice. See class, this is called using your full body. Always be aware that the best weapon is the 6 inches of space between your ears. A few people chuckled, making Crow stop the spar, not minding that Naruto got off the stage quickly afterward. He looked at the few that were chuckling, puckering his underlip a little as he nodded and waved his arms out. Alright, Crow speaks with a humorous undertone, we all know who's dead. The chorus of laughs came from the students. Crow then looked at them, as you know the final days as your last year is nearing. Many of you have applied yourself, conducted yourself, and did everything you were supposed to do. However, this doesn't mean you must stop doing what you've done here. You very well have a life ahead of you few dreams of, and fewer still have the balls to take. Mr. Braun stated with a proud smile at some of the students. He then looked at them all, you will be the future of the world, bear the fruit and move forward, class dismissed. Yes sir. A chorus of yells echoed in the stage room. Crow watched as most of the students left, instead of Naruto, who was just seated in a lotus as he held his sketchbook. He looked up at Crow, seemingly sketching the man. He stopped and yawned as he got up. The experienced huntsman looked at Naruto, you got something to say Vulpine? Naruto looked at the man, shaking his head, not really. You know, kid, just saying, you could with making friends these last 2 months. Hell, you may end up with my niece on your team and she loves to start a fight. The man laughed and walked over toward a mini fridge, beer. No, Naruto replied as he packed his stuff up. Crow shrugs, suit yourself, so tell me why did you refuse the dinner? I have dealer coming to look at my art, Naruto told him as he finished packing up, plus I don't want to go where I feel like people will ask questions about my daily life. The man shrugs, fair enough, do you even know who I was talking about? Nope. Naruto replied, and he looked at Crow, you know, you're actually kind of cool for a teacher. Shit, Crow laughs at Naruto, and here I was expecting a snarky remark. I can be as smartest if you like, Naruto got a water from the mini fridge, chugging it down with a big gulps. The blonde finishes it before throwing it into the trash can, 3 points. Crow rolls his eyes, so, you've been improving. Not good enough, I don't think I can take you in a serious fight. Naruto comments, rubbing his arm. Want that beer then? Crow held a small can out, fuck man, come on it is just one. Isn't there a law about this? Naruto reluctantly got a hold of the can, about forcing alcohol on students. And, you're a goddamn man in 2 months. Look, I'm not giving you sympathy. If you turned out to be some gangbanger, I'd take you out like any other trash, but you made something of yourself. Crow patted Naruto's shoulder, and you should be proud of that. The blonde nodded, I am, just wish my mother was here to see it. You never mentioned an old man. Crow looked at the blonde and smiled while taking a drink, I'd be fucking stoked to have you as a kid. Why didn't you go and have kids? I mean you have the swagger to get any woman you wanted. I mean, really, you exude confidence and swagger, I think even the coldest of women would swoon over you. Naruto compliments Crow while the man drank. The instructor rolls his eyes, trust me when I say I tried my hand at that a long time ago. Yet, Naruto rolled his eyes before finding himself smirking, you go after the innkeepers. What can I say, short skirts and maid outfits are my weakness. Crow admitted as he chuckled, especially the uniforms that perk up the assets. Naruto took a deep breath, rolling his eyes as he popped the lid of the beer open and sipped it. It is not that bad of a fetish. You got a fetish, kid? Crow inquired with a chuckle. Naruto blushed, taking a deep breath, not really. Bullshit, Crow points at Naruto as he looked at the blue eyes of the blonde, and you know it. Well, Naruto sipped the beer some more and sighed, you're not wrong. Naruto took a deep breath, finishing the beer and tossing it in the recycling trash bin. He looked at Crow, sighing as he looked at the man, giving him a small smile. Hey Mr. Braun, thanks. Naruto smiled and gave him a thumbs up as he walked out of the class. Shit kid, like I said you're about to be a goddamn man, call me Crow. Or, if you hate my guts, call me what usually people call me. Drunk bastard or fucker, the formality shit is stupid with me. You're an open book to me, I'm an open book to you, Crow told Naruto while punching the blonde in the arm with a laugh. Right, Naruto rubs the back of his head. Thanks again Mr. Air Crow. Don't mention it, catch you on the flip side, now go make yourself some of that mullet and make sure you give me a cut. Crow glares at Naruto playfully. Naruto rolled his eyes and started walking out of the classroom. Crow shrugs, he then finished his bottle and looked at where Naruto left. You need to eat more kid. Naruto was on his scroll, he looked at the account balance, it was reading 0, as he took a deep breath and sighed. Goddamn thieves man never wants to stop kicking a person that's already down. He was bound to get the 10,000 back they had stolen out of his account, a group of hackers had bridged Vale's banking and trust company, stealing hundreds of thousands of liens. This included Naruto's, which he made sure to add to the shit list. If he ever found them. Taking a moment, looking at the other teens being greeted by their parents, he just sighed and began his walk back toward the train station. They were right, he needed to eat more, if it wasn't for the free lunches, then he wouldn't have eaten today. His money had gotten stolen a couple weeks ago, last he heard, the bank was dragging on honest clients. It wasn't blatant, it was just under the skin, and it made Naruto's blood boil. Taking another few steps, his stomach growled, he then looked toward the bright blue sky. How come the sky was so bright, yet he felt so lost in an endless night? The blonde took a moment and looked at his scroll and saw that it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Meaning he had a couple of hours before he had to meet with the art dealer, he hoped she bought all 3 of the paintings. Boarding the train, the blonde took a few steps before taking a seat. He put his headphones in, taking a moment to relax and let music pour into his ears. The heavy metal music from Bloody Zoo began to play in his mind. He just hopes things would start to look up soon. Chapter 2. Episode 2. An artistic deal. So, an elderly woman wearing her Sunday's best looked at the paintings, this is known as the Fox's Flame. Naruto nodded, he rubbed the back of his head, I painted it using ink and coloring. It was meant to be influenced by Mistralian techniques of one-stroke painting. I can see that parts of the hair here, the most detailed parts, were done in one very slow stroke. You must have dipped the brushes to where only the strands you needed had painted. The hair is very detailed, very beautiful, and the proportions are on point. Mirabella hummed and looked at the red-haired woman as she held a flame in her hand, can you tell me the story behind it? My mother, she's the inspiration for the fox furnace in the picture. She had a semblance, though she never really used it much, it looked like a flame, but it made plants around the house grow. Naruto chuckled a little bit as he pointed at the various flora he colored in, her favorite flower is at her feet, sunflowers. Ah, I see, very beautiful. It is inspiring to see the technique that takes so long to master properly, being used expertly by such a young man. For this painting, I have to, unfortunately, say that I cannot hope to buy from you. Mirabella stated as she crossed off the painting on her notepad. Naruto looked at her, why not? It is a painting of your mother my child, you should hang it up by her urn rather than sell it, Mirabella says to the young man, she moved over to the next one. She looked at it, quite perplexed at the location, it had a forest overlooking a desert, with a cherry blossom tree on a hillside. She nodded, it was quite beautiful, an oil painting. She smiled, feeling of the picture, finding several layers of the paint to help make shading look more realistic. This is one is perplexing, the desert reminds me of Vacuo, but the flora seems to be of Mistralian origin. Just like the picture of your mother, I find this to be engorged with a story, but this is one I can buy. So, which country is this set in? She inquired, rather impressed at the workmanship. Naruto found himself smiling a little bit, a rare thing, menagerie. Is menagerie truly this beautiful? Mirabella rubbed her chin a little bit, given the critters that live there. The smile faded from Naruto, and what do you mean by critters? Oh, heavens, I didn't mean it in the racial slang. I'm talking about the fauna that lives there, with the dangers, it is hard to believe that such beauty can exist there. She looked at Naruto as she rubs the back of her head, I do apologize if you took the meaning the wrong way. No, you're fine. Naruto waved the concern as he took a moment to smile once more, so how much are you willing to offer me? Well, giving the quality it is superb. However, as you are to be considered a freelancer and rather unknown. I'll, give or take, 3,000 leans. The woman got her checkbook, and from I understand that is fair. Naruto nods and agreed with her while rubbing the back of his head, yeah, sure, sounds fair. She signed the check, handing it to him, he took it and smiled. She then went to the last painting, looking at it, she smirked as she already knows what it was. Ah, Kitsune, the holy angels of the field. My mom talked about them a lot, saying that our family symbol is of a nine-tailed fox because one supposedly saved my great-great-great-grandmother. But, you know, things were more mystical back in the days before people made wondrous machines. Naruto spoke as he worded exactly what his mother had told him. She smiled, you're a very smart young man. This painting can be top dollar to a third party. So, I'll go ahead and give 3,000 as a down payment for it. If I sell it for more than 6,000, I'll happily give half the proceeds to you. He held out his hand while speaking, fair enough to me. She took it, shaking it, I look forward to seeing more of your work next time. Give me about a month or so, I'm getting ready to graduate Signal and head into Beacon. Naruto told her as he stretched, and I am going to get slammed with work from then on. Indeed, well, goodbye Mr. Namikaze. I shall send my man in to collect the two paintings. I'll be sure to put in a good word for you if you wish to give me your scroll number, I'll even hand out contact info to patrons. She insisted as she flipped her notepad, some of my clients are collectors of fine art and are high profile. Like who? Naruto inquired, tempted to know who would work with her. Ayla Kahana, you know her as the frontwoman of the band Iris Connection. I also have a contact from Atlas, a wise Schnee, and she pays good money too, then there's Iskander Azula frontman if she went to talk, but stopped when she heard Naruto suddenly squeal. The Iskander, as in Bloody Zoo Iskander. Naruto's eyes lit up with stars. She nodded, watching him smile brightly, my oh my, someone must be a fan. I got some of their merch, along with Warrior Demons. They're supposed to be in town next weekend, and I am so stoked. Naruto then rubbed the back of his head while blushing, so sorry, just really excited. Mirabella laughed, patting his shoulder, ah young man, you're fine. But, she then made her way toward the door, I do know who to contact first. Ah really, see cool. Naruto stutters as he had a bright smile. The door opened as she neared it, two burly men came into Naruto's apartment, they took the two pictures into their arms as they walked toward the door. Mirabella smiled, she nodded her head before closing his door. The blonde laughed, it grew to be louder as he fell back, yes. Naruto looked at the check in his hands, jumping up and down while fist pumping, I got a dealer, Databeo. He then heard someone pounding at his door, you damned frontus brat, keep it down. The blonde pouted and crossed his arms when he heard a door slam close no sooner than a man came out yelling at his. He huffed, glaring at his door before turning back to his paycheck. 3,000 leans took care of his food expenses this entire month and gave him the ability to afford better food than the TV dinners he ate. The FFT, Naruto dismissed the man's yelling. Friendly neighbor my ass. The blonde yawns, intent to take a nap before going to ATM later on to deposit the check. Walking into his room, clothes strewn about on the floor. The fox Frontis just removes his shirt and pants, wearing only his froggy underwear. On the wall, by the mirror, hanging on it was old sepia photographs showing him and his mother playing in the park. He was but a 2-year-old at the time, the pictures were taken by his father. Wherever that bastard was Naruto hoped he choked, he will miss out on the days Naruto finally graduates and finally takes his first steps into manhood. On his back, just near his tailbone was a scar. It was aged, from a time he was a child and had an accident. More specifically, he fell down a staircase after somehow getting out his crib and cut his lower back open, nearly broke his tailbone. Taking a look at himself in the mirror, Naruto flexes, revealing toned muscles underneath very little baby fat. He was lean, not built like one of those gods with all the bulging muscles from bodybuilders. Though Naruto would be lying if he said he wasn't jealous out how girls swooned over them. He wasn't looking to date, but being attractive wasn't exactly so bad either. Staring at himself in the mirror, taking a moment to observe the whisker marks on his face. Dismissing his thoughts, Naruto just yawns and stretches before climbing into his bed. Covering himself up in the quilt, it was cool outside, but not cold enough to turn the heat up. He'd wake up in a few hours, make his way over to the bank's ATM, and then go grocery shopping. Naruto was walking the streets of Vale, intent to visit his bank's ATM to deposit the checks. He whistled a tune to the newest Bloody Zoo song and hummed at the lower notes. He moved his feet, slightly dancing to the music as he bopped his head. The blonde fox Franus was crossing the street at a red light, only to hear the screeching of tires. He turned around and barely jumped over a car. He watched as the vehicle was being followed by several police cars, with one stopping. "Hey, you okay?" the officer shouted out of the window. "Why yeah, I'm good, need help?" Naruto inquired as he heard the cops giving chase. "No, just stay out of the area," the officer ordered Naruto before speeding off. The blonde rolled his ocean blue eyes as he walked toward the ATM. He took a deep breath as he used his code and entered the PIN with it. He saw the screen flash, asking him to scan his scroll. He got his scroll out of his pocket and scanned it. Naruto hummed as it switched to a Warrior Demon song. He bopped his head up and down to the beat, scanned the checks over the scanner when prompted. He smiled as he saw the funds immediately get put into his account. He had an art dealer one time skirt him on a deal. He had been so pissed off that he gave up painting for a few weeks. Just staring at blank canvases, wondering if it was even worth it to continue trying anymore. Naruto took a deep breath, his ears suddenly straight up upon hearing a puddle splash behind him. The blonde barely had time to react as a man tried to stick a gun in his face. The faunus knocked the gun away, just as the man squeezes the trigger, making the fox ears that Naruto had ring. The man yells as he tried to move and shoot Naruto. It was obviously a junkie by the crazed look in his eyes. They were also dilated, glazed over, meaning that the man was currently high as a kite right now. Backstepping, Naruto managed to bring his leg up to kick the man's gun out of his hand and into the air. Using his speed, enhanced by his aura, Naruto pummeled the man in the face with several jabs before hooking right foot under the man's foreleg and tripping him. The blonde followed up by slamming his shoulder into the man as he fell to the ground. Catching the gun as it fell back down, Naruto used his knee to hold the man down while pointing the gun in the man's face. He chambered around in it, showing the guy he was serious about defending himself. He looked right into the man's eyes, speaking with a slight hiss in his voice, "Stay down." His heart was pounding, he could hear the blood rushing in all of his ears. It took everything Naruto had to keep a level head. The teen got his scroll out with one hand, pressing the emergency button on it while holding the gun to the junkie's face. The junkie yells, "Get the fuck off me, Franus bastard." Naruto kept pressing his knee into the man, holding the gun at him. Though it squeezed the trigger, he heard a voice inside of his head, "Go on, he tried to kill you. He's fair game, come on, you'll have to do it eventually, shoot him, shoot him." Gritting his teeth, growling, Naruto's eyes changed from blue to red rapidly, like a pulse. He looked right into the man's eyes. As much as he hated Atlas Academy, they did instill some leadership skills into him, but he had always been the point man of any group project. Taking the first lead, taking first hits, taking the first steps forward. He had no fear, save the fear of himself, and that helped save himself from himself. It also taught him discipline, triggered discipline since he had to train with firearms. Naruto held the man down, slowly letting off the trigger. He heard sirens coming, taking a deep breath. The blonde just removed the gun's clip, taking it apart before tossing the parts into a pile near the parking lot they were in. "What the hell, man, get off me." The junkie continues to scream. "Shut your mouth," Naruto glares right into the man's eyes as he speaks, "or I'll bust your teeth out, Dadabeo." Some people were just weaker than others. Junkies like this man probably had a hard life and fell into the drugs, but it still didn't give him leniency. The blonde heard the sirens getting closer, watching the junkie panic. Naruto watches as an Leo car finally pulled up, 2 officers got out, hands. Naruto raises his hands up, "This guy tried to attack me, some frigging junkie." "Alright kid, go over there with Officer Oakwood, please." Naruto nodded, going over toward where the Franus officer was. Oakwood was a tall Franus man. He was an ox Franus, having 2 large horns on his head, just above his ears. He watches as the fox Franus walks over to him. Rain began to drop in the area as Naruto watches the human officer cuff the junkie when he tried to run. "You alright there, son?" the officer inquired, "Looks like you kicked that guy's ass." "I'm a student from Signal, I learned how to fight." Naruto answered as he rubbed his cheek, "Damn it. Yeah, looks like a round scratched your face there. Don't worry, a band-aid and some salve will do you some good." "Good takedown, did he have a weapon?" Oakwood inquires as he got out his notepad. Naruto nods, "Yeah, I disassembled right next to your guy right there. I had pinned to the ground with it until you arrived and figured I'd break it down so he couldn't just grab it from me and use it. Very clever, the officer looks at his partner. Yo, Cleve, pretty much open and shut. Yeah, I got the bastard, I see the gun parts right there. Guy has a broken jaw, Cleve laughs as he looked at Naruto. Got one hell of a right hook, don't ya? So, I've been told, Naruto admits while rubbing the back of his head. Do you need anything from me, Officer Oakwood? Ah, yes actually, I need your full name along with your residence. We'll be checking the footage so we can confirm your story, worst case scenario, you'll just get a call from us to come down to the station to give an official report. Oakwood got his notepad ready, shielding from the rain with his head. Name? Oakwood inquires. Naruto Namikaze, I live in Blackwood, Clarity Apartments, apartment 420. Naruto tells him that it. Yep. Oakwood nods toward Cleve, who drags the junkie toward the car. The blonde watches the man walk away. Take care of yourself, Mr. Namikaze. Will do, officer. Naruto checks his scroll to make sure the check went in. It had, but it was still pending on deposit. A few days went by since he had finally gotten money into his account. He was walking toward his dance class for the evening. He was learning several dances, waltz and foxtrot, tango, and even modern dancing. He personally loved the tango since it was high energy and still uninformed enough to have style. Wearing a nice set of clothes than he usually wore, Naruto walked inside of the studio, his gray tuxedo with a red undershirt, he wore a pair of black pants. The blonde dressed for the day's musical choice of tango. Some of the men there wore similar suits, some of them just came in casual clothing. The blonde, however, for all intents and purposes, loved to dress and dance in the class. He always dressed in nicer clothing for these types of things. Naruto looked at some of the women and girls there, all of them his age or above, there was one elderly woman there with her husband. Many of the women wore very conservative dresses, but a couple wore a very stylish one-piece with the right side of the skirt cropped up to reveal some leg. The instructor for the day, a young woman that was in her late 20s, walked in with her dress. It was a white show dress, she had a rose in her blue hair as she took a deep breath. She was small, petite, for her age, she actually stood shorter than Naruto. She wore her hair in a ponytail and had a silver talisman on her neck. Welcome everyone, she cheerful sang out as she walked in step to the music. Welcome to the tango class. I am Paloma Estilo, your head instructor for the next couple of hours. She tells them while looking at the students, and I see we have a few returning students. The woman snapped her fingers, my friends, partner up with a lovely lady or man. Naruto saw two girls pair up and even a couple of guys. He slightly smiled, he then watched as others paired up and waited until he could see anyone remaining. However, this time, the class was perfectly even saved for himself. The instructor chuckled, walking over toward Naruto, sir may we? Naruto smiled, sure thing, Ms. Estilo. Naruto took her hand, she led him to the front of the class, now ladies and gentlemen. All you have to do is get into the beat of the music. Allow me to show you with this young man, she grabbed Naruto's hands while placing one down to the side, walk with me. See how I walk with my young friend here ladies and gentlemen, he leads me, let the dominant partner lead, and you follow suit. She instructed, watching as the others did so, she nodded and smiled as felt Naruto as he raises his hand up. Now, the dominant partner will raise their hands up and twirl their other half. She loudly says with a wide smile on her face as Naruto twirled her. She then reversed the twirl, coming back into his arms, and you shall always return to your partner afterward. This is basic, she stated as she and Naruto began to walk again, with her secretly leading up until the dominant must lead. She watched the class do this a few times before she turned toward Naruto, smiling and then nodding as he began to take charge and lead. She and he got into the beat of the music and she looked at her students, all the while she kept Naruto close to her. Now the tango, it is an energetic dance and passion will run high during it. She suddenly jerked Naruto's up and in doing so some things will be said. She walked away but still held Naruto's right hand, he faced away from her and it's up to the dominant partner to bring the other half back under his wing. Naruto brought her back with a twirl, she leaned back, charging the atmosphere with passion as she looked up at the teen. She was showing the flair of the dance but made sure to keep it strictly as undercharged sexually as possible. Your love is my love, dance with me, oh dance with me, she sang out to the music and grabbed his hands as they backed away and walked toward each other to the beat. Shaking their hips as they did. The class followed suit, with Naruto chuckling slightly, I think I've gotten much better. You have, Paloma agreed as she was twirled, and I can see a lighter side of you since you've been coming here. Naruto brought her close, not too close, I enjoy dancing. It releases negative emotions and allows me to practice combat. Paloma whistled as she walked backward and made Naruto follow her, well, young warrior I hope you still practice after you go to Beacon. Naruto chuckled as they twirled each other, well thank you. So, she speaks with a smile, a young man must have a broken heart or two. Nah, not my style. Naruto replies as he twirled her, what's playing right now? Adam Sola, the Dance of the Dragon Prince. She told him and then pushed him away, a very easy song to get into. I can see why, Naruto stated as he moved his hips, turning sideways toward her as he approached. Anyway, I had a favor to ask, since you've been coming here several months. I am going to go around after class today, asking students if they'd like to volunteer in the homeless shelter in a couple weeks. She looked right into his eyes, are you interested? Naruto nodded, I'd love to Ms. Estilo. Then you're signed on, oops, you're supposed to dip me on this part. She smiled as she was dipped, with her legs sliding back on the ground before he lifted her back up. Both of them laughed a little, continuing through the dance lessons. Naruto walked back into his apartment, he felt energized as he quickly gathered his painting materials. He linked his scroll to a speaker set, it began to play the song he heard at school. He looked at the easel and licked the tip of pencil he had in his hand. He began to draw the outline of his painting, creating a vibrant figure from within his head. It was going to be one of those paintings he'd work all weekend on, and he'd enjoy it with great fervor. Losing himself into the image, the music, he continued to draw. Coming toward the end of his outline of the basic character structure. Since he was supposed to be making a dancing prince, he made the outline figure more lifelike and in motion. The figure had one of his hands held up, with another hand tucked near his stomach, mid-turn. He quickly began to draw more and more, now adding in the basic features. Time began to pass quickly, night falling even quicker, it was 1 in the morning as he finished the drawing of the painting. He looked back at it, taking in what he accomplished in the last 5 hours. He always had a habit of losing himself in art. By the time he came out of his trance the songs had cycled over in his playlist, it was currently on some chill music, an artist by name of Killer B. The blonde hummed, nodding and then yawning as he stretched. He walked toward the couch, deciding that he'd just crash there for the night. He plopped down, turning some videos on his scroll. Gaming channels from around Vale, and others. DEATHLYPIE23, Mini Chad, and even Hidinigaming. The young man wasn't into video games, he just loved to see the comedy sketches and the stuff they did with basic games. Especially Mini Chad, he had the most creative content and didn't stick to just one series of things to get his stuff out. That and the Gaminglum, now that ValetUber knew how to create some funny videos. Sunday came quickly, Naruto unlocked his apartment door and entered with a handful of groceries. He set the groceries on his kitchen counter, looking at his scroll as he began to play the voice recording from Mr. Xiaolong's classes. He took a deep breath as he got out a pot, filling it with water to boil, he got his noodles out and added it to the water before it boiled. Quickly, he began to reach and began to chop various peppers and vegetables he got out from the bags. When he finished doing that, he put the contents in a cup before adding it into the pot, he then opened up the oven and pulled out a pan. He got the chicken out of its packaging, quickly setting the oven to where it would bake the bird. His test was next Wednesday, so he had to ready up for it, and if he aced it, he would end up receiving tickets. The blonde hummed as he kicked off his shoes and relaxed with a contented sigh. He began to hear the water boil, which meant he needed the oven to quickly heat up. Upon hearing the beeping, he sent the tray of chicken inside, it was a basic dish, chicken miso ramen. The young man took the time to also lean against the counter, grabbing a small glass bottle of soda, he popped the top off the orangey-flavored pop. He chugged it down, listening to Taeyang give the lessons from over the week. Hearing his oven beep again, he opened it up, it had been a few minutes since he put the chicken in there and saw the brown texture of the now baked chicken. Smiling, he grabbed a mitten, reaching into the stove and getting the chicken out. He quickly sat it on the side, on a counter, and moved the boiling pot off the burner it was on. Turning the stove off in its entirety, Naruto took a large bowl and poured the soup contents into it. He then grabbed a few pieces of chicken, placing it in the bowl. Having walked toward a small table, Naruto pulled up a seat and listened to the sound of Mr. Xiaolong's voice as he ate his meal. Staring at a picture of his mother he had set up in a chair, he looked at it and chuckled slightly, I swear when I bring a girl here one day she'll think I'm a weirdo but. He stopped eating and looked at her, feel as though I can talk to you like this. I have my highs and lows mom, I am high on life right now, no doubt sooner or later I'll hit another low. Each time I wake up, I struggle, because you aren't there, and no one is Naruto teared up slightly as he looked at her picture. Some slipped down his face, but I promised you that I'd try to live. On my lowest days mom, I always feel something warm hold me, is it you? I don't know, I find it hard to believe in God or gods, or whatever is out there. But, Naruto then smiled sadly at the picture, I am trying to not pick up another knife tie another noose, or look at another pistol again. It is hard talking like this, I'm too scared to go to a psych, scared to get help from people I don't know. Naruto spoke from his heart, I just don't trust people. Ilia, he remembered his best friend, I wonder if you're looking over her as well, she's probably doing okay I guess. Flint and Kat don't text me anymore, they haven't texted me in months, I guess that friendship was just meh. Naruto then laughed a little bit, I'm wanting to just ramble on about things, clear my chest. Naruto then smiled brightly, but I do all of this for myself and to carry on like you wanted me to. Tears fell from his face, he then wiped away as he looked at his mom. Closing his eyes as he smiled, imagining her sitting in front of him. I love you. Chapter 3. Episode 3. Red Flower. It's rather funny how things can quickly become serious, especially even in the life of huntsmen in training. Everyone in their profession must keep their guard up, Naruto was no different, his ears shot up as he heard the crunching twigs and howls of death. Beowulfs, he glares at the forest just near the clearing he was in. His hand hovered near his blade as saw a tree branch, leaves dropping from it. They were trying to surround him, a common strategy for their brand of monster. Superiority through numbers, but that only matter if they could match the strength of their target. Naruto's fox ears moved with the sounds of the barking, the howls, and the growling. Picking, locating, and estimating how many of them were there. The blonde took a step forward, just as one came barreling out towards him. Like a bat out of hell, the beast screams and roars, its maw wide open. However, Naruto slashes his sword upward upon grabbing it from the scabbard, cutting the beast in half. Just as he cut that one in half, another one tried to come from behind, but his Frontiers easy alerted him. He jumped up, letting the beast run under him before drops down, slams the blade into the beast's head. The hunting test had begun. The test where a huntswoman would have to track a pack of Grimm down, defeat them, and maintain decent amounts of aura. Meaning that Naruto had to take out the pack he managed to track down relatively easily, and all he had to do was kill them before he dropped into the color just above red-orange. The aura counter, a huntsman's key indicator and best friend, lets anyone with a brain know that they needed to back off. Greenish-blue was perfect, while green was lightly damaged, yellow meant the shield around you was moderately damaged, orange meant it was heavily damaged, and red meant you were broken through or nearly broken. That was his exam. Naruto had managed to dodge two that tried to attack him simultaneously. He rolled forward, ducking under their claws before jumping to his feet and turning on his heel and slashing one in half. The green crystal glowed on the blade of his sword, a dust crystal. Naruto growled as the other one retreated into the woods. This pack wasn't like normal Beowulfs, they weren't stupid enough to just keep coming. They were testing his defense, but as for them, he had a surprise for them. Taking a few steps forward, placing his sword back into its scabbard, the wind howled around. Naruto continued to channel aura into the blade. Suddenly three came running from the forest. Naruto roars as he slashes his sword straight from the scabbard. A wave of sharp wind traveled the blade, bisecting two of them mid-run before the third one hopped over it. Its reward, Naruto simply leaping at it and spearing through the chest with his sword. Slamming it into the ground, Naruto pulled his blade from the ground where it impaled all the way through and slashes at another Beowulf. The blonde barely missed when it backstepped but stepped forward in order to stab through its chest. The fighting style he developed over the years was a mix between the books his dad wrote and left behind, while mixing his Atlas's instructor's wordplay and his dancing. The stunned Beowulf coughs a red substance before Naruto vertically cut its upper body in half. All the while he could hear more coming, he just snarls and leans forward in time to avoid one coming from behind him. Following through, Naruto hopped up and caught the midsection of the Beowulf between his thighs and slammed it into the ground before stabbing it in the chest. On his knees, several demonic wolves charge from the forest, some even having armor on them in the form of bone. Rolling his eyes, Naruto rolls forward while grabbing his blade before running at the nearest one. The blonde hops over him while slicing apart another that leapt up to intercept him. Flipping forward, landing on his feet, Naruto spun on his heel and slicing the forearms off a Beowulf that tried to grab him. Two more scream and run at him, only for the blonde to charge at them and sheath his shakudo. Right when they were about to reach him, he slices forward. In a display of lightning quick speed, Naruto simply stood behind them. They soon fell to pieces before turning into dust. With the gale dust crystal depleted, Naruto pulls it out of his sword, tossing it behind him before kicking it as hard as he could. The depleted sails, landing in the skull of a charging Beowulf. It skids to a stop before collapsing and dying. The blonde spun the sword in his hand until he reversed gripped and slammed it back into the scabbard. He used his Frontiers to scan the area. It was deathly silent, which meant there was still some in the immediate area. Yang was in a nearby tree, his scent was camouflaged, and so was his emotions. He looked at Naruto, he was marking his grades down on a piece of paper. He was glad the teen wasn't letting his guard down, he had to yell at his daughter at the end of her test. She let her guard down and lost a bit of her aura for the trouble. There was a reason why though, he had to take people on one at a time for these exams. These tests were done one-on-one, so that the Grimm wouldn't pick up on other people's worry or scent, just in case it went after an instructor. Yang watched as the blonde stood there, noting how the Beowulfs just seemed to almost ignore his presence. Despite being literally surrounded. He can dampen his emotions enough to hide if needed, not bad, but a bit troubling for someone so young. You've got around 13 of these beasts left to handle, what will you do? Taeyang observed as he saw the younger blonde back away and head for a tree. He watches Naruto loaded another Gale crystal into the slot, he presses a button making it lock in place. Looking at the surrounding area, Naruto saw a few large trees and damped his emotions further while sprinting towards one. Naruto made red flower turn into its bow form, he hopped up into a tree and stood on a large branch. He then knelt down, angling his bow to where he could line up on the lead Beowulf as it emerged out of the forest with its pack. He took a deep breath, channeling aura into it, specifically focusing it on the Gale dust crystal at the center of the bow, where his arrow would fly from. Taking a deep breath, he stood up as he pulled back the bowstring and formed an arrow with Gale dust around it. He stood up, the air whipping around him as the heavily armored alpha of the group smelt the air. It then turned toward Naruto, who was probably caked in sweat, despite it being balmy outside. As the lead charged, Taeyang heard a boom emanate from the tree, watching as an orange-colored shard of energy with the wind swirling around it flew from the canopy and sunk right into the lead Beowulf's head. He then heard two more booms as a couple more Beowulfs charged, only to watch the arrows impact their heads with ease as well. Blowing their heads up from the force. Naruto used his full fist to create a trio of aura arrows before standing up enough to where the other Beowulfs could see him. Naruto then leaped from the tree, aiming down, firing all the arrows at Beowulf's position below and nailing them all in vital areas. As he started to drop down, he formed his weapon back into its sword mode and pulled the blade from its scabbard and sunk it into a Beowulf that tried to leap up. Picking the Beowulf off his blade when he landed, the fox Phronus's ears stood tall as he saw the rest surround him. "Come get it," Naruto taunts them while holding his sword in reverse while holding his scabbard. Using the scabbard as well, which was hardened metal on the outside, Naruto turned around and whacked a Beowulf in the head as he ran toward them. Almost dancing in the way, he spun, he leaned back to avoid one slashing at him as he spun, bisecting it as he made another spin on the rain-soaked ground. He kicked his foot up, sending mud flying into one's eyes before slicing its head off. He wore no armor, he couldn't afford any sort of fancy outfit, so he wore a casual red t-shirt and black pants that were currently getting mud stains all over them. The benefit of it was at least he was lightweight and it helped that he moved fast, and Taeyang made sure to jot that down in his report to send to Beacon. Like he did with every student. Naruto stopped spinning, but then rolled forward, staining his hair with dark brown mud. He got up, his eyes flaring red as he suddenly spun on his heel, and a wave of aura left his sword. This surprised Taeyang since that was a projection technique, something only that could be taught and trained. Then again, Naruto was always the visual learner and he could learn anything once he started to practice it. He wasn't dumb, he knew Naruto had also copied his combat style to a degree, but added changes. Which is why when Naruto slung the scabbard and threw it to where it destroyed the head of a Grim, he roared out with a might backfist and hit another with such a force to turn it around before stabbing it through. Mud, rain, and dark substances flew in the air. With time moving in slow motions around Naruto as he became focus. Out of the original amount of Beowulfs, only 7 were left. Naruto took a moment, slinging his sword and activating the Gale crystal within it. It blasted the area around himself, knocking them all back in a Gale explosion of mud and rain. The dirtied blonde clicked the blade back into his scabbard, putting it at his hip. He watched as the 7 circled him, he looked at one that had a particular eye on his head. Reaching down, crouching, Naruto made a tight grip on his blade, ready to slash at anything coming his way. All of them charged at once. Naruto's eyes burned red, glowing as he spun and unleashed his blade and the Gale crystal at the same time. All of the Beowulfs and any raindrop within 4 meters of his area were sliced down any middle they were angled with Naruto. Some got cut in half, some got their head lobbed off, and others got their lower midsection cut down instead. Naruto took a deep breath, slinging his sword as if he was cleaning blood from it, he then sheathed it back into his scabbard. He looked at his aura counter via a strap on his left arm that he always held his scroll in. He hadn't dropped out of green, nor had he been hit once. Taeyang was about to call the test, but then he stood up on his branch as something crashed its way toward Naruto, his eyes widened as he noticed what it was. It was tall, standing about 9 feet high, it had a large ugly frame that was similar to an Ursa, but no fur, and had a humanoid frame with long tusk-like teeth protruding from his upper and lower lips. It roared out, smacking the ground, giving off a sense of dread where it went. An ogre. Naruto took a deep breath and got ready, holding his sword out still in its scabbard. The beast growls, stalking toward Naruto, smacking the ground as it went with its long arms. The blonde in front of him just spat at the ground as he pressed a button on his scabbard to turn red flower into its bow mode. It beats its chest, screaming at Naruto, like the beast that it was. Naruto readied himself as he took steps forward. He readied an aura arrow, cycling dust through it, making wind swirl around the very tip of the energetic arrow. The ogre growls, stepping faster toward Naruto, its knuckles dragging across the ground. The beast roared out, walking toward Naruto. It shook the ground a few meters from where it stepped from its heavy stepping. It glared at Naruto with dark red eyes. It roars out, smacking its chest. Naruto didn't waver, which displayed courage against the creature as his eyes burned alight with red once more. The ogre Grim continued to walk toward Naruto, screaming at the young blonde as it smacked its chest once more before running at him. Naruto took a deep breath, overdrawing his bow as he backed up, running backward. The beast slowly closed in, but Naruto then focused solely on the chink of the armor. Growing the arrow in power, consuming more of his aura, dipping it into the yellow. Growing in size, the arrow became sharper at the end, and then as Naruto was just a few meters away he fired the arrow. The beast's roar echoed out as he failed to dodge the arrow smacked it in the face, and the armor broke across the head. Naruto had aimed for the eye, but the beast's last second move of his head made the arrow miss. He quickly got his sword mode engaged and dodged the slamming of the beast's hands that were meant to squash him on the ground. Yang was about to intervene, but found that Naruto was easily holding his own. The blonde dodged to the right as it smacked the ground where he had been. He then activated the Gale Crystal and sliced at the armor, breaking it from the force. The young teen then blasts himself away. Manipulating his aura to gain Gale Dust into the air in order to dodge the beast spinning around and attempting to hit him with a backfist. Sliding on the mud and going backward, Naruto somersaults into the air, landing on a tree branch as he engages the bow mode. Naruto aimed the bow, pulling his entire fist on the string, overdrawing it, red flower. Roar. Naruto blasted the arrows as they took energy from the Gale crystals. A light streak followed them as they headed right for the ogre. The ogre dodged to the right, avoiding two of them, but one smacked him right on the chest and blew away the armor surrounding it. The young man stood up the tree, looking at his scroll. He was reading in the lower 80s now. Scoffing, Naruto took a moment and reached into a small pouch he had in his back pocket. He pulled out a red crystal, burned dust. The ogre roared out, watching it. Naruto jumped up to the top of the tree, standing at the very top and balancing himself on one leg as he overdrew the bow. It was overdrawn much larger than normal, to the point it looked like the gravity dust in the enhanced string could snap at any moment. The blonde then channeled a sizable piece of aura into the arrow, making it larger and channeling it through the Gale crystal as well. Suddenly the aura ignited into flames, having wind swirling at the tip. Naruto's eyes widened as they glowed much brighter. Land shot, Naruto pulled the string just back a little bit further as he spoke. He then fired the arrow, which made a loud screech in the air. The ogre's eyes widened as he brought his fists up to block, thickening his forearms with a black substance before the arrow impacted. It blew up, literally, creating a fireball that evaporated nearby rain and dried wet mud almost instantly. Several meters wide, the fireball dispersed, leaving the ogre missing a left arm and all of its armor. Naruto dropped down from the tree, landing in what little mud he could to break the fall. He knelt in it after landing, switching the weapon back to its sword mode. Suddenly, the ogre groaned, moving its disabled right arm out of its face. The dirtied blonde gripped his sword, taking a deep breath. It's over. Yang watched as Naruto ran full force, jumping up before mixing Gale Dust into the sword before turning midair and slicing. Landing with a thud on the dry mud, Naruto clicked his sword just as the head of the ogre fell off. No hard feelings, simply just a job to be done. Walking away, Naruto watched as Yang drop down from the tree. That was a very good hunt. Thanks, Naruto took a moment to stretch as he accepted the praise, and I'm guessing I aced it. Yang rolled his eyes, holding the tickets out. Have fun, brat. Naruto couldn't help but chuckled, thanks. Back in the classroom everyone was discussing how they did. Naruto saw the bully talking to his duo of friends. Bragging, he talked about he took on several Beowulfs without his weapon. The blonde knew better, a mace couldn't possibly be used in such a fast motion. More than likely the guy got off easy, tracking a very small pack. Meanwhile he could hear laughing. He saw where the buxom lilac-eyed blonde was just bragging to her friends about punching the face off a Beowulf. Rolling his eyes, Naruto laid his head down at the desk, ready to take a nap before going to the concert tonight. When the bell rang, Naruto got up, packing his satchel with him. Walking out into the streets of Patch Town, he saw Crow on the scroll with someone. He didn't want to interrupt and figured he'd just talk to the man tomorrow. He saw Yang talking to two girls, one with black hair that slowly changed to red the further it went down. Another, the buxom blonde that just exited before him, she was rubbing the back of her head sheepishly. Those two must have been Taeyang's daughters. He bragged about them a lot when not around other people. Sighing, he saw how other students had families around them. It tied a knot into Naruto's stomach. It made him feel sad. Always alone, forever alone, no one will be there to hug you and hold you. The darkness spoke to him, whispering into his very soul. Dismissive of the crowd, Naruto continued into town, walking toward inner part of Patch Town. He saw a store, a costume store. Walking over toward it, he enters it and finds gothic clothing and costumes. Besides, he knew a lot of people would be dressed for the event tonight. Walking toward the back he saw some hairspray cans with temporary hair dye in them. He grabbed a red one after thinking about how his blonde hair would look with red tips. Walking towards the counter he saw a teenage girl, about his age, wearing dark makeup and chewing some good. "That all?" she inquires, though it was with some attitude. "Yeah, how much?" Naruto inquires while getting his scroll ready. The girl rolls her eyes, 10 leans. "Alright," Naruto hands her the scroll, watching her scan it. She watches as he bagged the can. "Hey, you going to bloody zoo?" "Yeah, why?" Naruto inquires. "Should've grabbed the black spray, whole yin and yang thing going with your hair," but whatever she told him, though she was rude about it. Rolling his eyes Naruto walked out of the store, back into the streets. Yang yawns as he gets into his stride, his daughter's walking by him. "So Ruby, how is your day?" "Like every day, just the best, I can't believe I'll be a junior in a couple of months," Ruby declares with joy. Her dad rubbed and messed her hair up, eliciting a huff of annoyance from her. Her big sister, the blonde with lilac eyes, laughs at her sister only to get a look from her father. "I don't know what's so funny, Yang, if you had been a first-year student you'd been seriously injured. You've got to pay attention, I can't overstate enough, think before you just go charging in." Taeyang tells his oldest daughter, Yang. The girl sighs, yeah. "Don't yeah me missy, you've gotta be vigilant. I'm only hard on you this one time because what if it hadn't been a Beowulf, what if it had been King Tajitu?" Taeyang looks at Yang as he questioned her. "I love you sweetie, I just don't want you to end up going out too early." Yang sighs, "You're right, I'm sorry dad." "Alright," Taeyang stretches his arms out. "So, a little birdie told me you were trying to go on a date." "Damn you Iris," Yang growls and crosses her arms, always the teacher pet. Ruby coughs into her hand, smirking at Yang while holding out her hand. "Swear jar funds please and thank you." Yang rolls her eyes, getting out a few leans and handing it to Ruby. The family of 3 just continued their walk toward their estate. Taeyang chuckled, bumping Ruby with his shoulder a little. "Last one there buys pizza tonight." He suddenly yells, running ahead of them. Ruby yells as she uses her semblance to get ahead of her father, all the while Yang tried to sprint and keep up with them. Using her gauntlets to blast herself forward if necessary, though her dad did the same thing. Yang growls as she looked at the pizza receipt, so much for the date money. "Hey pumpkin, look on the bright side of things, you get to spend the weekend with your loving family." Taeyang tells his daughter, "And besides you better come enjoy the pies while they're hot." Did we really have to order a dessert pizza for Ruby though? I mean, you know how she is around sugar. She then growls and realizes something. "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" Taeyang shrugs, "Oh my, whatever do you mean?" Growling Yang just stumps over and sits on the couch. "Ruby, hand me the all meats please." "Here you go Yang," Ruby cheerfully says while biting into her cheese and handing her sister her box. The older teen just watches as a Bruce Willis film comes on. "So, am I allowed to date?" Taeyang looks at his daughter, chuckling, "Oh yeah, sure." "Really?" Yang yells, happy to hear that her father approved of her dating. Taeyang then snorts while almost singing out, "No." The lilac-eyed girl just gives a frustrated yell, grabbing her pizza. "I'm going to my room." Ruby and Taeyang laugh as she stumps up the stairs. "Why are we so mean to my big sis for today?" "Oh, come now Ruby, we aren't being mean, we're just pranking her like she does us sometimes." Tai points out and then smiles, "After all, karma comes back when you least expect it." Both of them state at the same time. Ruby and Tai laugh, father and daughter, then turned their attention to the movie. Yang then came back down after she yelled in her room for a moment, flopping back into the couch. She just sighed, pouting a little as she took some pizza into her mouth. Yang, the older girl looked down at her sister. "Why do you want to go out with guys so much?" "Because my friends are going on dates, meanwhile dad is keeping me locked up in here every weekend," Yang mumbles and made Taeyang chuckle a little bit. "Well, Yang, you turn 17 in September. But I bet you another pizza that the concept of dating is just boring, besides boys your age just wants one thing, and I'll kill him," her father states as he leaned back on the couch. The young huntress in training just sighed, "But it's just a movie date." Well, Taeyang rubbed the back of his head, "No. Oh come on, Iris and the other girls are going with their dates. Why can't I just pick some random sap to take me out a date?" Yang complained some more, "I wasn't going to do anything afterwards." "Oh yeah, I've said those same words too when I was with your mom. Bada bing bada boom, you popped out 9 months later, but to be fair that was the senior year in Beacon Academy." Taeyang then sighs and looked at Yang. "It's not that I don't trust you, I just don't trust any of the boys that I know of." Yang finally relents, rolling eyes, "Fine. Love you." Taeyang grabbed her shoulder and shook her a little bit. She sighed, "Love you too, dad." The blonde took a deep breath as he looked at himself in the mirror. He smiled as he finished the washable red tips in his hair. He was wearing a black leather coat along with some of the merch of his favorite band, which consisted of dark pants with a red dragon riding up the right leg. His shirt had the band name on it with the image of each member in their demon as they played during a concert. Finishing up, Naruto took some black marker and painted around his eyes to bring out the blue, as if they glowed. It wasn't that he was goth, he was just trying to embrace the full culture. Some people like to make fun of it, but to Naruto, he just wanted to have a good time. Sometimes when going to these things in order to have the best time is to dress the part as well. Like a kitsune changing its form to what is needed. This was the only place he could really feel confident besides in a fight since he was probably surrounded by similar people. He wore footless boots, almost like sandals in a way, but they were also merch from the band. Naruto walked out of the bathroom into a crowd as he placed his small amount of touch-up in his pocket. Currently, music boomed in the large crowd, they all were at Cheshire Theatre. The blonde walked into the crowd and bopped his head. The current band, the opening band, was the second favorite of his. The Mistralian Bear Rockers, they were currently on stage as he walked forward. Going toward the front row, where his seat was, not that it mattered since most of everyone was standing up. Swaying their hips to the rock-rap hybrid of Mistralian Bear Rockers as they played one of their hits, Naruto couldn't help but do the same. Save he shimmed his shoulders to the beat, spinning on his feet to avoid some women as they walked by him. Naruto smiled, bopping his head to the music as he got to his seat. He was where the music was the loudest, so he had to plug his furnace ears to keep them from hurting. He moved to the music, loving the beat and enjoying. Naruto and the crowd then screamed, "Step back, I'm going to attack, you can't walk all over me anymore, Jack." The blonde clapped his hands to the beat, enjoying the music as he watched the band enter their little crescendo, and then the beat started to become something easy to dance to as he bopped his head to the music. As the band ended, they all held up middle fingers, walking off the stage as Naruto and the crowd did the same. It was an unspoken ritual, ever 2 years ago when they first played in Atlas and Naruto got hooked in the music. Supposedly several Atlasian attendees flicked off the band which made them flick them off back and it kind of descended into a thing. The band got fined for obscene behavior in public, but the revenue took care of that and then some. As the band walked off, suddenly a loud boom occurred, smoke filled the stage as 5 figures emerged from the smoke. All of them wearing masks that made them look demonic in a way, but wore clothing no different than a huntsman would wear. One spoke in a very deep voice, "Welcome to the party, who in here is ready to rock?" The crowd screamed as they raised their hands up. Slowly, the light dimmed in the theater, with a flute and guitar beginning to play. The crowd's cheering silenced as they listened to the song beginning to play, with Naruto doing the same thing. "This first song is for our new album, Ira of the Hour, enjoy it." The bandleader stated over the microphone before the music suddenly kicked up. Drums beating hard. The flute in rhythm to the drums. Two sets of guitars playing fast notes while the singer got ready. Naruto and the crowd sang the first part, watching the band began to play more rapidly until suddenly it all stopped. The crowd became confused until the sudden boom of music nearly popped their eardrums, with the band slamming into the beat hard and fast. The blonde smacked his hands together as he followed the beat, joining the crowd easily enough. Bloody Zoo went hard and fast in their new, blasting the theater as well, with him bopping his head hard to music as well. The vibrations of the floor from the playing tingled everyone as they felt the passion in the music. The song itself. Naruto smiled, listening to the music, then it hit a slow part with a giant band member Iskander, the head singer going into the song with a passion. Iskander removed his mask, throwing it into one of the crowd members. Naruto frowned as he could have used his training to leap up and grab it. However, he didn't feel worthy enough to do so and just stayed in the crowd to enjoy the music. The man on stage was tall, muscular, and had a red beard and hair. He was known as Iskander, the Red Demon of Pride. Iskander could play guitar, but judging by the bandages on his hand he looked like he recently got into a fight, so he couldn't. Naruto loved his riffs, the rhythm of his movements with it, and all of the music the man had ever made and graced Remnant with. Naruto left the theater, smiling and even getting his picture taken with Iskander himself during his crowd surf. The man had landed in front of him, posed with his scroll, both sticking their tongues and snapping the photograph. The blonde was just giddy all around, looking at his luck with profound mirth. His money had also gotten returned earlier today. Life was looking pretty decent, he couldn't lie, he was happy to have woke up this morning. Even if he held his razor far too long, looked at the window, checking its flexibility and durability to an extent. Just because he was happy didn't mean the demon went away, it made it silent to an extent, turning loud shouts to very low whispers. In fact, Naruto found that reluctantly that he would always think of a way, even if he made a promise. Promises are meant to be kept, but sometimes the promise is impossible. Right now, today, he was happy. His biggest fear, the biggest fear he had since he was a kid, it was the fear of the demon inside of him. He'd twist people's words, paint them red instead of blue, and replace the smiles with frowns. Loud shouts, screams of wanting the agony to end. Perhaps the demon wasn't his tormentor. Maybe he was its tormentor, constantly shoveling the pain downward in a hole that rarely overfilled. These thoughts of bloodletting filled him up some days, other days, he'd think of a couple ways. He'd never do it, seeing no point and no having the will. Besides the time he slit his wrist, there was one other time in Atlas, and it was when his demon started to win again. It was also the first time he felt wanted in a very long time. Naruto was sobbing as he looked at his messed up hair. Several other teens had ambushed him, holding him down and cutting his hair in places. Nearly cutting off his fox ears, but luckily they showed mercy and didn't cut them. His clothes were ripped, bruising on his left eye and a bloody lip. He picked himself off the ground, the laughter of the group long gone into their dorms. His freshman year of Atlas Introductory Academy kicked off with pain, horrible pain. New city, new place, new everything. He looked at the cables on the ground, picking up some of them. He took a deep breath as he looked up at the ceiling. He could easily tie some around the sprinkler system, and then it just as a short hop off the bench, and then never-ending bliss. However, as he got up, he then heard someone gasp. He snapped around, looking at a brown-skinned girl with brown eyes, hair in a ponytail. "Oh my god, are you okay?" She ran over to him. "I knew I heard crying. Hey, you alright?" Naruto looked at her, sighing. "What do you care, you're just going to laugh at me." "I'm not laughing now, am I? What are you doing with that cable?" she inquired, taking it from his hands, noting the wince on his face. She gave him a saddened frown as he looked at his bruises, on how slowly they were healing. She pressed her hand against one. "Why are you helping me? I don't even know you." Naruto inquires as he felt his head healing. She chuckled, "Because I need to stop you from doing something stupid. You're wanted, you know Naruto." "How do you know my name?" he questioned. She finished with his eye. "I know your name because I know Flint. My name is Ilia And Yang X.L. Would you like me to stay in here with you until a teacher gets in here?" she inquired in return while answering his question. Naruto bit his lip, then he sighed before nodding. "I'm sorry." "Don't you dare say you're sorry, you're not at fault here, you're not the bully that did this to you. Don't apologize for someone's ignorance, just push through it, friend," Ilia stated, smiling at him, "and don't ever think you're not wanted." Naruto's face pressed itself into her shoulder, crying and sobbing. Ilia looked at the blonde, she then brought her arms around him to comfort him. Naruto walked inside his apartment, walking toward the window, he looked at the full shattered moon. Taking a look at the bright celestial object, with the many shattered rocks around it. He took a deep breath, closing his eyes. Ilia stood next to him. Music played in the background of his apartment, music he had selected to play, so he could get started on painting the Dragon Prince. Naruto swayed to the music, planning to take a shower. As soon as he got done painting the first 3 layers, he took a moment to allow a tear to roll down on his eye. He missed the feeling of his hand being held, the feeling of something bumping against his shoulder. A friend to share his pain with. How I wish you were here." Naruto smiled as he pressed his hand on the glass, imagining his best friend standing there beside him, and then he felt more tears fall down his face as his smile grew. He felt a warm feeling in his chest. "Wish you were here, Ilia." Chapter 4. Episode 4. Birthday Blues. October 10th. Naruto stood in his room. It was now 1 week before graduation. Taking a deep breath, he finished his latest painting. He backed away. It was a white-haired woman with defined features, wielding 2 blades. Her request had come in, why Shni of all people, requesting a portrait of her sister. Of course, she didn't know his face. The painter she had patronaged, he chose to keep it hidden on the call, and had gotten a down payment of 5,000 liens to start the job. He managed to paint Winter Shni with vibrant detail. She was in the midst of holding swords at the ready. All of this of a single photo why Shni had given as part of the deal. Luckily, he'd never have to meet the girl in person. Rap and hip-hop music played in the background of his apartment. He had been making a note play more upbeat music when using lighter colors. Thanks to the new flow of income, Naruto had enough money to get him through the first year at Beacon. Classes weren't cheap there, and to get access to the cafeteria and such was costly in of itself. 4-year students in Beacon, if you didn't take the graduation exam early in the 3rd year, could run easily 100,000 liens before it was all said and done. That was on classes alone. Room and board added another 50,000, material supplies added to a fair share of 25,000. That 25,000 was due at the beginning of each year, mind you. The cafeteria, since it was filled with just what Naruto could describe from the list, all the food. The blonde saw the bill at the bottom, it was heavy, a whopping 30,000 a year heavy. Either you were well loved by the community and you got a free pass, or you were a blue blood. Anything less than that, unfortunately with Naruto fitting the bill, he'd have to bust his ass to make it good. Perhaps he could continue coming to the apartment on weekends to paint. Maybe he could just make a studio somewhere in Beacon's grounds. The problem was that huntsmen in Vale were considered freelancers and not part of the military, unlike Atlas. Atlas's academy gave free rides to those they felt would be a good fit in military service. All huntsmen from Atlas were in the military and were actually officers with officer training. But in Vale, since they were considered freelancers, they didn't get the benefits of tax money. It was a matter of laws, and since Vale's laws listed grim hunting as freelance, meaning for profit, that meant huntsmen were no different than from job you trained for in college. From what he read of his letter, which laid open on his coffee table, his papers had been approved and was due to report to the airfield station a week after graduation. Currently, Naruto was just busy painting to make extra income. He had 3 other projects going on along with his current one. The Dragon Prince's Bride, because Paloma loved the first one so much, she even put a down payment of 1,000 leans. The Eternal Fall, a forest painting based on Forever Fall Forest in Vale. Iskander the Great, a painting of Iskander and his band holding swords, with a man holding the largest above his head. He had contacted Naruto, even spoke to him, both had a good laugh once he realized he was the kid he met at the concert, and Naruto had begun work on the next cover for his album via painting. Iskander was the most generous of the clients, having seen his other works, he went ahead and paid 10,000 leans to sponsor the painting. Currently, he was almost done with it, in fact, he'd be finished with it tomorrow. Easy money, easy food on the table, and easy living for a moment. The last painting, Beacon, was of the school itself. It was a massive painting, it took up the window space inside of his apartment, apparently, it had been commissioned by someone at the school. A mystery buyer, and by Mirabella's word, he was high up in the council as well. He'd make history if the painting was well received, to be the first Francis artist to have a painting in any government building. But that wasn't the legacy he wanted to leave, he wanted the thrill of the fight and of being a huntsman. Currently, he had enough to pay for the materials and to put a down payment on his education for that year. Not enough to fully pay for it, but enough to make sure it got a good head start. The blonde sighed, looking at the 4th layer of paint of Winter's portrait, and he shrugged. Each year was an enrollment cost, which was the cost of everything put together. A lot of people argued that this education should be free, but people can't fathom the costs it takes to produce huntsmen. The amount of quality training, the 4 years of supplies, ammunition and dust. Security detail for school events that were formal, so that no radicals could just go in and slaughter a huge investment. Huntsmen were investments of civil society, because while the military protected the majority of people, they played a defensive role. Huntsmen got incentive to take fights to very demons of the night that plagued humanity. The job's mortality rate was extraordinarily high, 1 in 10 huntsmen would die before seeing the age of 30. Those past 30 had a higher chance of dying, since many of the deadly jobs got filtered over to them. Sometimes being recognized for your experience was not always that great, though the money many of those jobs brought in were often life-changing. Not everyone is meant to be a huntsman. The world needs metalworkers just as much as it needed the cold steel of a warrior to push back the night. But for now, he was a painter. He stares at his painting of Weiss Schnee, the irony of a Francis artist painting a Schnee wasn't lost on him. Then again, not all Schnee were horrible people either. It was decent in his books, but the colors never truly shined until the 5th and 6th layers were added. He needed to lighten her skin a little bit more. He made some rose to her cheeks, make her lips a little lighter shade of pink. The smallest little details were also the most important to get something to lifelike quality. From the round face, the admittingly beautiful baby blue eyes, the silky white hair. Like a white rose, she would be considered beautiful, but there was a human quality to both of them. Naruto stops for a moment, looking at the portrait before sighing and getting his scroll. He began to punch in the number for his bank, waiting for the ringtone to end before he could enter his passcodes in order to get his account balance. The AI that answered him was the standard Carmichael, a newly updated version of the old Friday variant. Your current account balance is 40,625 leans. A payment has been issued to the amount of 25,000 leans, due to arrive at Beacon Academy in 2 days. A payment has been issued in the amount of 10,000 leans to Beacon Academy in 2 days. The stated purpose for payments is materials and education. Naruto heard his scroll suddenly speak, is that all? Naruto chuckled, finishing the 4th layer of the painting, no Carmichael, that's all. Have a good day Mr. Namikaze. The scroll then hangs up. Heading back to the painting. Naruto took time to examine his work, making sure everything was in order. He held the paintbrush, a specific color of white on it, alabaster. He wanted to shade the hair of Winter to fit with the pose, everything had to be shaded to fit that pose. The finishing touch on the 4th layer came with the hair, where he began to add the 1st layer of detailed paint. As much as he hated most of the Schnee family, Naruto didn't hate Winter. Her father on the other hand, even by her own words, could go rot in a grim pit. People like him allowed mining disasters like the one that happened to Ilia's parents, not intentional, but not investing enough to make sure the mines were safe. It was a matter of time, the ticking of the clock, until something would happen. The truth, the cold truth, hindsight will always be 20/20 for a reason. You should have saw it coming. Finishing up, Naruto grabbed his scroll, looking at the time. She's probably still up, Naruto said to himself. Better let her know how it's going. He pressed a number on it, calling Mirabella. He got an answer. Ah, my star. Hello Mrs. Mirabella, just want to report that Iskander's and Weiss's paintings are near completion, they'll be done tomorrow night, Naruto told his art dealer, intent to get some money before going into Beacon. Ah, yes, that is good news. I heard you have another painting you're wanting to sell me. She inquires, with Naruto yawning a little in the background. Yes, Naruto walked over to it and showing her. Ooh, an environmental, forever fall. Mirabella questioned as she looked at it. Naruto nodded, yes, and thank you for getting me some high-profile work. Don't mention it, you're a good artist and need exposure, though I kept you being a frontisvague from our Schnee client. Mirabella replied. She looked at the painting. I could probably sell that for 5, giving you 2. I want half. Naruto retorted with a smile. 55, 45, gives you 2,225. Mirabella also retorted, countering his counteroffer. Fine. Naruto rolled his eyes and then smiled, you're twisting my arm a little. Come now, Mirabella waved, 'tis only a formality, I'll send someone over later to pick up the painting and with your money. Roger that, Naruto hung up, taking a deep breath as he looked at the paintings. His apron was stained with paint, like always, he stretched and took it off. Looking at the paintings, sighing, he tosses the apron to the floor. Taking his shirt off and walking toward the bathroom. He yawns, looking at himself in the mirror. Maybe I should go out, Naruto stripped down his thought and went over to the shower, I should celebrate. Naruto closed his eyes as cold water brushed his skin, slowly the water increased in temperature. Steam began to roll of his skin where the water impacted, the blonde fox frontis just lets the soothing waters take him. He leans back, taking deep breaths. You should just fade away, you'll do so eventually. Naruto's eyes snapped open, revealing in front of him was his demon. The demon had a terrible smirk, the whisker marks on his face were much thicker than his normal birthmarks. He had a messy hair, cuts across his arms and bruising around his neck. The demon even sported a hole in his head, long scabbed over. The demon stood in this black void, his right hand had a strange black round mark on it. You are just going to fade away, why not grab that nice electric charger cable and place it in a bath? Naruto shook his head, I am on a high note, I'm not listening to you. You can't always run away from me, I am always inside of your footsteps, one by one I follow them. The demon chuckled as he walked around Naruto. He walked to where he stood right behind Naruto's left ear, leaning down. How many times did you think to end it today? 3, 4, ooh only 2. Naruto frowned, lowering his head, I just don't want to go back again. You don't have to, Naruto buddy, Demon Naruto dismisses as he looked at his counterpart, you can always pretend that you're okay, put on a smile. He then suddenly gripped the top of his head and chin, the demon smirked before violently snapping his own neck. The audible sound of bones literally breaking and snapping out of place made Naruto winced as the demon stood there still. But that just doesn't change the fact you're broken inside. The demon roars before suddenly reforming himself. The demon licked his lips, all you have to do is that just snap your own neck painless. You're more than capable of it, I mean, you either do it to yourself or you do it to Ilia. I don't hate Ilia. Naruto lowered his head. Please, the demon said. Spare me. The demon's head snapped back into place when it failed to do so the first time perfectly. Suddenly a familiar girl stood next to him. She had red eyes as well, looking down at Naruto. I hated you, how come you got to have sympathy? She screamed at him, I got laughed out simply because my family died, you're just the worst. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Naruto winced, but you're nothing but a pathetic loser, if I hadn't catered to you back in Atlas, you'd just be hanging up and put in the morgue. You don't deserve anything, you're never going to be a hero, you'll just be another body with a toe tag. Ilia, the demon screamed out. The demon stepped behind Ilia, gripping her head firmly, see? Ilia. Naruto screamed, trying to run over toward her. The girl let out a sharp painful scream until the audible cracking filled the void. She fell to a heap, laying on the ground as she slowly turned into the void itself. Black, nothing but darkness, Naruto glared right at the demon. His own eyes red now, crimson, like blood. How pathetic, the Dark One says as he licked his fingers, you either go 2 routes from here bucko. You can kill yourself, end it all and be at peace. He then suddenly teleported behind Naruto, standing right next to his left, leaning over and smiled. Or, you just become the very monster you fight to keep at bay every single day. And again, the demon steps forward, maybe the second option will make you happy. Hearing people that made fun of you beg for their pathetic little lives, like ants trying to escape a bootman trying to escape the universe. Naruto took a deep breath, you're not real, I am me, you are not me. For now, the demon chuckled, that's only half true, I am very real Naruto. The demon suddenly had his right hand glow a purplish color, almost black, but it contrasts slightly with the background of the void. Red tails emerged from behind him, 9 in total, and he looked right at Naruto as his features became more demonic. Only a matter of time before you cast everyone and everything aside, either you die a lonely little piece of shit or you live and become a demon. The demon suddenly growled, only for chains to emerge and pull him into the void. He thrashed, and before Naruto couldn't question what was going on, he felt something grab him as well and pull him into a light. Naruto opened his eyes, gasping for air, he looked at the shower, the water had long since turned cold. He stood there, waterlogged, naked and afraid. He turned the water off, stumbling out of the shower, he walked over to the towels, wrapping himself up. The blonde sighed, walking into his living room, noting that he had just stood there in that shower for over an hour. He gripped his head, slightly feeling a pounding headache incoming, he sighs as he sat on the couch. Still naked under that very towel, but he watched as the sun was setting. He looked out of the window, taking a few deep breaths as he got up and then calmed down. It's only a nightmare, he's not real, he's just the negative you. Naruto mantras as he stood there, and he'll never win. Heading into his room, Naruto took a few moments to rummage through some clothing. Getting out a good pair of jeans and a white shirt. The blonde checked himself in the mirror as he stretches and yawns. He was going to go out and celebrate his birthday, alone. Naruto strummed the flamingo in his hands, having decided to just stick to what he knew best. He pranced the floor as he played it, no different than the foot movements in a tango. The store's teacher nodded, watching as Naruto moved to his own beat. Taking a deep breath, he just smiled as he finished playing. Bravo, a man said as he stood next to another man, very good Mr. Namikaze. Thanks, Javier, Naruto thanked the man in front of him, handing him back the flamingo guitar. However, Javier shook his head, nah amigo. You can have it, consider it a graduation present from us, you've been a great customer over the last year and such. Oh really, Naruto looked at it, wow thanks. The man waved him off, he looked at the blonde, shouldn't you be at your ceremony kiddo? Skipping it verdant, besides, no family to see me walk anyway. Naruto simply states as he put his hands in his pockets. Javier nodded, well, you take care alright, Beacon is a cool cat place. Cool cat huh? Naruto laughs as he walked to the door, then they'll just love me there. Crow took a deep breath as he saw his students come up, getting their papers and having their picture taken. He noticed that Naruto wasn't there among his peers. Sighing, Crow just watches as Taeyang shook the hands of those that came up. God damn it, Naruto, come on you earned this. Crow thinks to himself. He watches as Yang starts walking toward him, he hands her papers, he quickly straightens himself up. Smiling while patting her shoulder, she smiled and nodded, walking over toward her father. The buxom blonde starts chatting up a storm after getting a hug from her father, her friends all walk with her. Hell yeah, Yang, a green-haired girl said. Next stop Beacon Academy. You know it girl, and mama is finally free to go explore. Yang states while walking with her friends into the hallways. Another of her friends, another blonde looked at her, anyone take notice that we're one short? All of them hummed as they looked at her. Yang then questioned her, what do you mean Iris, we're all here. Well, all of us, yes. But not everyone that should be graduating. What about the loser that slept in back, was he here? Iris inquires as she rested herself against a locker. Nah, the green-haired girl said. Loser wasn't here, can't believe for being asleep he somehow grads. It's total bullshit, Yang admits as she rubbed the back of her. I mean, really we bust tail trying to grad and yet someone just falls asleep all the time. To think of it, Yang, I can't even remember what the idiot looks like. I mean he had blonde hair, but that's about it. The shortest blonde of the group states. Yeah me neither, oh well, hopefully he's not going to Beacon. God, could you imagine him getting stuck with someone like that? Yang said while talking to her friends, he'd probably be asleep in the middle of a mission. Totally, Iris rolls her eyes, and then we'd have to explain how he got killed. Being a loser, the shortest blonde states while leaning on the locker by Iris. Sasha, the girl looked at Iris, please don't rub your booty on my mine. Sorry, Sasha apologizes while yawning. Speaking of sleep, I'm not going out tonight ladies. Oh, what a shame, and here I was hoping to celebrate my birthday with you girls, since I didn't get to a couple weeks ago. Yang then smiles, but I know where we can get some drinks at. Iris rolls her eyes, Crow's Nest, doesn't your uncle frequent that place? Yeah, Yang dismissed with an eye roll, and. Well, Fee, won't you get into totes trouble with Daddy-o? Sasha inquires. Maybe, Yang admits, but then gives a sly smile. But mama wants some sunrise action and Crow's Nest doesn't check for IDs. Underage drinking, potentially getting caught. Fuck it, I'm done, where do I sign up? The green-haired girl inquires as she smiled. You sign up on the lineup if we're caught, Midori. Yang states while bringing her arm around her, where's Flare? Oh, she's actually sick, Sasha told Yang and rubbed the back of her head. Figured she'd tell you, oh, well right. Yeah, well, I'm thinking about sneaking Ruby out with us. Yang told the girls, get her a taste of social life. Oh god, Yang, no offense, Ruby isn't exactly the girl we need to bring with us. She'll crack like an egg meeting a rock. Iris replied. Yeah, Midori shrugs and sighs, kind of got to agree with Iris on this one, Yang. Oh well, all I wanted to do was Yang out with my sister. Yang told her friends, besides after tonight we need to get ready for Beacon. Oh yes, Iris laughs as she rubbed the back of her head. I wonder how many hot guys there'll be. Probably for miles, Sasha shrugs, my big sis says that our definition of hot is a time and dozen there. Even their limp noodle is a hunk here, Iris blushes as she imagined what the boys would look like. Well come on girls, let's go get catcalled by so creepy old men. Sasha smacks Midori's and Yang's bottom while walking past them. Naruto sighed, looking at his home, his apartment. He was walking with the landlady, he had decided to go ahead and vacate since he wouldn't be able to realistically afford the rent and keep up with everything. Well, everything seems to be fine, your security deposit will be cut in half for cleaning because well, you did stain the carpet. The woman stated as she wrote on her paperwork, fair winds Mr. Namikaze. Naruto took the paper, he looked at her, I hired a moving company that's going to be taking my art supplies, the picture of mother and her vase to Beacon, they have storage units there for students like me. Not cheap? She inquired. Not cheap, cost me an extra 500 a month, so, about 6,000 a year to just store my stuff. Naruto pinched his nose, looking at it, this place served me well for a year. The blonde stretched, well, better get going to the airport. You know students aren't supposed to be there for another 3 days, right? The landlady questioned him. Meh, Naruto waved as blew off the notions of traveling with fellow peers, none bothered talking to me, so I won't put myself to where I may be in the way. Loading into the airship, Naruto watches as much of his stuff was marked fragile. He had to spend some extra money to hire a team of movers that somehow got approved by Beacon Security. He wasn't going to be able to just go back and forth from Inner City Vale and Beacon Academy constantly. Walking over toward his seat, Naruto yawns and flops down. He looked at his scroll, watching a mini-chat video. A no-sleep read-it compilation talking about horror stories. He sat there, listening to Gamer go on and on about creepypastas and such. He looked out of the window, seeing the aircraft begin to lift up. Pro was drinking a beer in the empty classroom, looking at the empty chairs. It was his last year teaching for a little bit, he was going to be working directly under Beacon for the next couple of years to earn some more money. He looked at Taeyang's desk, which his feet currently occupied. Frowning as he swallowed the contents of his drink, every day you came in and you slept right there. You blonde idiot, Crow swigged something from his flask, I wish you'd shown up, I'm here for you kiddo. He then smiled though, looking at the desk that Naruto had occupied, then again kid, you mimic me as a teen to tea. Crow heard a knock, looking over at the door, yo. Come on Crow, Taeyang says as he entered the class, I just cleaned that. Some boot stains never killed anything, Crow replied. So, you know Yang is probably going to get into trouble with her friends. Taeyang rolled his eyes, I'm well aware. Crow nodded and sighed, yeah, well fuck man, want one? Taeyang nodded, getting tossed a beer by Crow, the man took a seat at one of the open chairs. Looking at Crow, who seemed to be focusing at the back of the class. Taeyang popped the lid, taking a swig out of it. Doesn't it bother you? Crow questions as he looked over at Taeyang. The blonde sighed, yeah, but it's his choice. I wonder why he doesn't just let any of us in, I don't get it man. Crow drinks out of his bottle, and yet here we are, two old men watching family walk the next step in life. We can only do so much for people, Crow, Taeyang replied as he placed his beer down on a desk next to him. And, we did what we could. That brat reminds me a lot of myself when I was younger, constantly searching for somewhere to belong. Fucking hell, Crow curses as he burps. Those chimichangas are not setting right. You should text him, Taeyang offered. At least find out the why to our question. I wish it were that easy, Crow muses before sighing, I'll give it a shot. The blonde took a deep breath as he stepped off the aircraft, watching as movers took some stuff toward the storage lockers. He rubbed the back of his head, looking at his scroll, he had one missed message and opened it. Hey kiddo, it's me the Q-man, didn't see you at the walk. I kinda figured you'd skip it, seeing that no one was out here for you and all, but let me know if you're ever free in Vale, we'll get a drink. Now, you just worry about yourself in there, K. Naruto looked at the message, he felt his heart grow heavy, he sighed as he started to text back. Hey, Q-man, it's kiddo. Sorry I skipped out, just don't like being in places like that, too much BS for my brain. Thank you for the wishes, and I'll gladly take you up on that drink when I get a chance. The blonde fox Franus then took a deep breath, sighing, I feel like an asshole. He put his scroll away, taking a deep breath as he walked around the courtyard. He made sure to catch up with some of the movers he had hired. He handed them a few extra lean, giving them a tip for their services and all. Sitting on the edge of the fountain, Naruto just looked at himself in the water. His last name Namikaze wasn't from his father's surname. He didn't know his father's surname, his mom never mentioned it. She made sure to keep tight-lipped about a lot of things pertaining to his father. In fact, the old sepia photograph was the only photo he was allowed to see, the rest were put in a vault somewhere in Vacuo. Until he graduated Beacon or became a huntsman early. The 17-year-old just looked at the waters as they moved from the wind. Hey, Naruto turned to see a man wearing a mask, sitting on the opposite end of the statue's pond. The mask the man wore was blue, covering the entire bottom of his face up to his eyes. His eyes were chocolate brown, his hair was spiky white as he looked at the blonde sitting just across from him. Getting a better angle, the man hummed slightly as he noticed Naruto. Naruto spoke up, nervously, hey didn't see you there. Ah, the man in the mask waved, it's a trick of mine. Anyway, are you skipping class? What, no, I was just arriving early is all, Naruto told the man, telling the truth. The man nodded, humming slightly, well alright then. My name is Kakashi Haddock by the way, I'm head of security for Beacon. The two stared at each other for a moment, with Kakashi getting up and walking over to sit next to the blonde, so are you some sort of blue blood? No, Naruto rolled his eyes and pointed at his ears, Franus never will be blue bloods in today's world. The man chuckled, not with that attitude young man, you need to grasp destiny. Well, I had to vacate my apartment to attend here, according to the rules packet I got last week. So, yeah, kind of bummed now that I am officially homeless again. Naruto looked down at the ground, watching as leaves danced across the courtyard. Kakashi hummed, again. That is sad kid, really sad, no parents. My mom died when I was young, Naruto gripped his hands and balled them into fists, my father walked out when I was younger. Kakashi seemed to take notice of Naruto, a lot of hatred in you. Huh? Naruto looked at him. Kakashi took a deep breath, hatred is like a drug, if you let it consume you, you'll never recover from it. Scoffing, the blonde just took a deep breath, what do you know? My parents died the day I was born, I was treated like a cursed child because I supposedly brought bad luck. Kakashi patted Naruto's shoulder, but as for being homeless nah Beacon's your home now man. Enjoy it, Kakashi said as he got up, and I'll be around if you want to talk. Namikaze, Naruto tells him while holding out his hand, Naruto. Naruto Namikaze, a name fitting for someone who probably wandered like the winds in a port harbor. Orange port wind, Kakashi rubbed his chin as he looked into the boy's blue eyes, well congratulations on making this far. Kakashi stopped and turned back to Naruto, if you want to talk, I usually work the night shift as the head security officer. What a weird man, Naruto noted about Kakashi, watching the man walk away. However, Naruto took note of the huntsman weapon on Kakashi's back, Atanto, he's a huntsman. Standing up, Naruto hummed as he looked at his scroll, it was October 18th. 8 days after his 17th birthday, a birthday he never really celebrated. Hell, the only person he ever celebrated it with was probably halfway around the world doing gods know what. Finishing out that year in Atlas before being able to come to Vale for his senior year was almost unbearable and never felt more alone, so he had just shut off the world, completely save for a few people here and there. Like looking glasses into a box, but the box was dark that even with a looking glass, no one could truly see what it was inside. His stomach grumbled, he walked toward the doors of Beacon, only to suddenly wind blow past him. A warmth wrapping itself around him, he reached up, clutching his shoulder. He felt like there was a hand there, someone hugging him from behind. Smile. It was a woman's voice, Naruto recognized it, he dares not to turn around. Come on smile, you did it, look at you. Naruto felt tears fall from his ears, he slowly walked as he smiled, taking in a deep breath as he smelt the clear air around him. It wasn't like the city air, it was pure and more relaxing. Slowly, still clutching the area he felt warm at, Naruto then took a deep breath and then chuckled slightly. Smile. Naruto found himself smiling as he neared the doors, slowly he opened them up, I love you, mom thank you. He entered the academy, unaware of the silver-haired man who had been watching from afar. He watches as a small wisp of red float away from Naruto, the figure in the wisp was a red-heated woman, bright blue eyes. The man smiled, sipping his mug, welcome home young huntsman Namikaze Naruto the name alone sounds familiar. Perhaps with time, the man walked toward the building, you'll find a way to beat those demons gnawing at you as well. In an office, snow covering the window that was caked in a layer of ice, a woman with white hair and wearing military uniform was organizing paperwork she wrote out for students. She looked down at a letter, addressed to her from Osborne himself. She got her letter opener, cutting open the official stamp and pulling the letter out. Winter. This letter is to inform that your student, one Naruto Namikaze, that transferred to Signal Academy has made it. I know we're not on speaking terms and you're probably wondering why the hell I forged Oz's signature. But how else would I get your attention? You should feel proud, he told me that if he graduated, he wanted a letter sent to you. I guess you could say he sort of gave me the idea to forge Oz's signature. You're a busy woman, but I think you've truly given a gift very few could give. The gift of inspiration and kindness, compassion. I won't bore you with the details, he's a brilliant young man. Knowing my luck, you probably won't receive this letter, but I thought I'd give it a try. I can see that he's troubled, perhaps hearing from you could give him some faith to keep moving forward. I don't know. I guess the cards didn't play in the favor of me being a brat whisperer, which is saying a lot given who my nieces are, well, one of them anyway. Oh well. Take care of yourself, Winter, after all, you got your own brat and a sister to worry about. Heard she's going to Beacon as well, maybe she'll make a good fit, hopefully. Pro Braun. P.S. I'm still better than you. Winter groans at the ending of the letter, of course, wouldn't be letter from Crow unless it had something childish in it. She giggles a little bit before folding the letter and putting it under desk. She hums as she walks over, getting a stored bottle of kava out of a vault she kept hidden behind a picture. She gets out a wine glass from a file cabinet, years of teaching made her copy Crow just little bit. Filling up the glass halfway, keeping classy about it all, Winter leans against the wall, holds the glass up. To the desires of man, forever are their hearts easy to sway, make headway young one. She toasts before sipping on it to kava and smiling. You're in the big leagues now. Chapter 5. Episode 5. Peach. Beacon was a castle, even more so than the Capitol building in Vacuo City. The halls were stone, the floor made of expensive wood, and the paintings that adorned the wall were all of top quality. Currently making his way toward the headmaster office, Naruto saw some older students walk past him. Not batting an eye of care at him, the blonde fox Franus noted that one of them being a Franus just like him. The cool halls of the school echoed with the footsteps of students as a bell rang. The blonde watches as many students pass through the hallways, all upperclassmen since the new freshmen haven't arrived yet, save for himself. Taking small notes on his notepad that he had gotten out of his satchel. The teen didn't want to lose his way in his effort to get somewhere. The glass windows showed him that around the school ground just outside laid many other buildings. All of them connected by various halls, and from a small mini-map on the wall, Naruto could see some of the halls split into four-way lanes. It was a huge school, no doubt that people could get lost. Some were traveled to by other students, meaning there was entirely separate areas for learning different things. Just like in Signal Academy. Stopping for a moment, the blue-eyed fox just leaned against the wall, looking room direction posts on the walls. Naruto continued down where he was going toward the eastern wing. From where he was going, an arrow pointed toward the offices, which was next to the ballroom and amphitheater. Walking that way, Naruto hummed a merry tune in his throat, listening to his music on his scroll as he did. Finally making his way into the office areas, the blonde saw many signs by an elevator. Main area, first floor student and weapon registry, second floor guidance counselors and human Franus resources, third floor main offices, fourth floor balcony and library, fifth floor long range communications hub, sixth floor headmaster office, seventh floor. Pressing the button, Naruto was waiting on the elevator, which dinged when it finally came down. Getting into it and removing his headphones just in case he got told to once he got up top, Naruto tucks the wiring and scroll into his pocket. Naruto walked out of an elevator, a few minutes of sightseeing, and he decided to head into the headmaster's office first. He had paperwork to do, every new student did, and since he came early, he'd be able to sit down with the headmaster himself to do it. The other offices were currently closed, prepping for the tsunami of newer students. Forcing Naruto into a more intimate registration process, and he knew it would be intimate since in order to get into a top-tier Huntsman Academy, they had to psyche evaluations to make sure you didn't just snap at the drop of a dime. Which was disconcerting to him. Walking over toward a chair, the blonde adjusted his baggy cargo pants, shifting a small sketchbook around he kept in the belt line. Sitting down, yawning, the blonde looked at the empty chair in front of him. The blonde woman who had let him in here after he tried to stop at student registry was a bombshell in his book. The fierce emerald greens betrayed the beauty with the experience of a true warrior. If she was the number 2 of this place, Naruto had a good image of who'd be the number 1. His fox ears twitched a little bit, feeling the air. He determined it was purposely made to feel a slight bit colder than usual, despite being mid-October. Which was usually cool in its own right, but with the air currently was set to a cool 60 on the thermometer from what Naruto could read. How, or why for that matter, someone could just constantly keep their office this cool was beyond him. His keen observations coming from the self-training he imposed on himself throughout his life, it came with the territory of being a freelance artist, any small detail could have any effect on a drawing or painting. A simple blemish, a scar, a beauty mark, loose strands of hair, even the color of the eyes. All of it, and literally all of it, had to make sense in Naruto's mind if it meant that he would be painting something. Even his cartoony caricature versions of people still bared an abundant amount of the inspiration's features. Albeit in a very loving manner or a very twisted manner, depending on the impression he got from them. Penny from Atlas has a caricature of an angel, she was an angel, kind and sweet nearly 24/7. Seal, on the other hand, could die in a lake of lava for all Naruto cared. Vile, nasty, and a racist. She had been drawn with grim features simply because he disliked her, and even poor little Penny, who had to deal with the girl nearly all day, even stated she wasn't her friend. Penny literally tried making friends with everyone. So, if Penny gave up Seal, then Seal was probably never going to worth her weight in trouble to deal with. Simple, cold-hearted, logic. Flint and Cat had been drawn 6 months ago with grim features, signifying their fall in Naruto's eyes. So, called friends who just left Naruto to the cold of the world, it wasn't hard to pick up a scroll. Neon spent most of the day on hers anyway. Even though he should, for some reason, he could never bring himself to do the same to Ilia's picture. Perhaps because she left on a better note than anyone else, granted it was her running away, but she had followed her heart's desire. He could never fault someone for that would be hypocrisy on his end, since he was following his heart by coming to Beacon. It is a lovely feeling, Naruto's eyes snapped open as he looked to his side, of stepping through the halls of where heroes once walked, and surely new ones do now. Naruto grabbed his chest, chuckling nervously as he got up, "You scared me there." "Ah," the man with silver hair watched as Naruto reached his hand out, "Sorry young man, I do not shake the hands of the unproven." Naruto blinked, unproven. "The person who in my eyes has yet to earn their place in my halls, but I do like early birds." "So," the silver-haired man offers his hand out, "What is your name?" "Naruto Namikaze," Naruto answered. The man looked at him, smiling, "I am the headmaster of Beacon, Ozpin." "The legendary master himself," Naruto slightly gushed as he looked at the man. "I kind of expected you to be a little taller though." "Aha," Ozpin chuckled. "I see you a bit of a comedian. Everyone takes one look at me and they usually come up with a joke regarding my stature." But, Ozpin walked around and took a seat at his desk. "I can assure you that challenging me is a practice of futility." "Oh," Naruto lowered his head as he sighed. "I didn't mean it that way." "Of course you didn't, I'm a blunt person Namikaze." Ozpin then smiled, "So forgive me if I come off as a little rude." "No problems," Naruto replied as he held his hands up. "I'm used to rude people." "Well, it so happened I knew you would be coming in early, so I took the liberty to get your file. I've studied it on my way in here. For an unproven eye, few notable people talk big about you, a few people I know that don't usually brag about any students that cross their way." Ozpin said to Naruto as he placed the folder down. The headmaster looks in his eyes, "I can see a fire inside of you, and I can see where they made sure that you continued your training despite your shortcomings." Naruto blinked and tilted his head, "Come again." "In your file, a psych file actually, every school makes one. Anyway, I would have called you up here the first day anyway, you came here early which is most beneficial toward you. Now, Mr. Namikaze, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything from what I read you're on the MISS." Ozpin pulled out a file from his desk, he then opened it, revealing Naruto's various school pictures. Naruto looked at him, bewildered, "Spectrum? Mental illness spectrum survey, MISS." Ozpin looked at the file, more specifically your history and personality point towards several things. "And those are?" Naruto inquires, but he felt a weight coming down him. "You said in the psyche reports in Atlas you described yourself as being able to manifest your anger mentally in another form. Which can be chalked up to a creative mind, and which case I'll believe that. After all I know about your ability to paint beautifully I might add. However, you also have a history of depression, which normally isn't an issue until you've the things you did." Ozpin spoke while glancing at the scar at Naruto's wrist. The blonde recoils a little bit, hiding it under his shirt, "That was a long time ago. Still, it has to be put in a record. Anyway, if you came here you have to be aware this isn't like a vocational academy. If you make friends here," Ozpin then took a deep breath. He then spoke in a very serious tone, "You have to be aware that they may very well perish. In fact, Beacon has a mortality rate, 1 out 20 students will die. It's unfortunate, but the life of a huntsman isn't for the faint of heart. With that possibility hanging over your head, you have to be aware that we won't hold your hand when you start taking on training missions, you're an adult in our eyes, and thusly, you have to take up the mantle as one." Ozpin continued. "And," Naruto rubs the back of his head, "this means. Are you capable of seeing a friend die?" Ozpin questioned him. Naruto lowered his head, sighing, "I don't know." Ozpin observed him, noting the sad frown that came over the teen's face. Naruto got uncomfortable, squirming slightly in the chair as he looked at the headmaster. "So that's it, huh?" All of this effort out on the fact I might not be able to accept a friend I could possibly make dying. No, Osborne shook his head, you're still in. However, you will have to see a psychiatrist while you attend your first year in. Oh, Naruto lowered his head, is it anonymous? Confidentiality is a top priority in these scenarios, we get many students in here Mr. Namikaze, many of them are in good spirits and health. However, sometimes we get the more wayward like you, who have a damaged soul. Not broken, but it'll take a lot of healing, and the healing is required to move forward. Osborne then looks at the file, coughing a little bit to gather his voice. He then speaks up, Bakuo Civilian School, 5 years ago, you displayed a writing that detailed a world without you in it. Mostly, you wrote a world where it seemed everyone's life would be better if you just disappeared, do you remember writing this? Naruto frowned, then he answered with a nod. Okay, Osborne marked something on a notepad, later on that same year you attempted and almost succeeded in suicide due to the passing of your mother. That is correct, Naruto got uncomfortable, I don't like talking about it sir. I know, but you must understand I have to have something to send to the psychiatrist so she can work with you. Fast forward a year later, you displayed several traits of being antisocial, not getting involved with group projects in the freshman year of Atlas Academy. This is after you managed to sneak aboard a military-grade vessel, an impressive feat for a child. Osborne remarked as he jotted something down in the notepad, you also were identified with self-harm marks on your inner thigh. It was the worst year, Naruto stopped Osborne as he spoke, I felt empty alone I felt numb to everything and everyone. Nothing, I mean even color itself, had no color. I just thought a little pain would jumpstart some sort of feeling and it never did. Suddenly Osborne could see Naruto looking away, I guess you're going to tell me the alleged second suicide attempt happened, but I maintain that I fell off the edge, I liked going up to the roof to relax. See the stars, see the moon, it just felt right and then I fell off the ledge one day. Naruto took a deep breath as he continues, and it let me stay away from people who kept picking on me because of my frontist trait. The silver-haired man looked at him, it says in the profile you took better to adults, why? They listen, I guess, mostly. Naruto took a moment, like Mr. Braun and Mr. Xiaolong, they understood me a lot more than others had. Even Winter Schnee? Osborne inquired as he looked at Naruto. The blonde grimaced slightly, looking at the ceiling, she helped me get out before I could try again. To this day I don't know if she's mad at me, I don't know if she thinks I'm a quitter. I did my best under her, in fact I dare say I was at my best while in Atlas, until it all just fell apart, you know. Naruto tried to reason out, and it's not exactly my fault, life's a well. Hectic? Osborne inquires, finishing the sentence. Yeah Naruto sighs while looking toward the window. Winter is a very shrewd person, and if she helped you get somewhere, she viewed you as friend, Naruto. I known that girl for years, and she rarely helps out anyone. She is a sink-or-swim type of teacher, I am sure you very well aware of that. Osborne chuckles at the end, especially in combat class. Yeah, Naruto rubs the back of his head some more, but chuckled. Osborne nods, so don't focus on her hating you, if she did she'd done the complete opposite to you than what she did. Right, Naruto took a deep breath and sighs, are we finished? Well, Osborne flipped his file as he spoke, we also know about one Ilia And Yang X.L. The blonde took another deep breath, I don't want to go into that. Alright, Osborne flipped the page, but it also says here you had friends named Flint Cole and Neon Cat. Former, Naruto corrected as he looked at the headmaster, they abandoned me, probably because I was just a pet project. Osborne took a deep breath, well, do you have any friends? Maybe Mr. Braun, Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head, but that's about it. You mentioned Mr. Xiaolong, why not include him? Osborne questioned the omit in Naruto's answer. Naruto sighed, honestly, I just didn't want to have dinner he has 2 daughters in the same school, and I don't want them to be nosy about me. The blonde took a deep breath, I don't want to feel something that isn't there. And, that is? Osborne inquired further. Acceptance. Naruto plainly answers as he took a deep breath. Osborne nodded, so, have you ever been diagnosed with anything? Yes, Naruto answers simply again. Clinical depression, Naruto bit the word in his mouth, he hated saying that. Well, Osborne closed the file, I made several notes, and I'll make sure to have them sent. Now, for your accommodation since you're here early. I cannot give you a dorm, not yet, you're unproven. However, the common room's couch is open. Common room? Naruto inquired. The game area, pool table, game station, there's also a small kitchen set up for the weekends when the cafeteria isn't open, Osborne explained as he placed the folder back in his desk, you're allowed to go into the cafeteria by the way. Oh, okay then, Naruto tried to see if there were any questions left, and he found one, am I allowed down in storage anytime I want? Yes. Osborne plainly answered, giving Naruto all that he needed. The blonde looked at the man, so what happens now? Now you wait until the initiation test, where we'll see if you can worthy enough to walk among these halls for 4 years instead of 4 days. Osban told Naruto, crossing his arms and leaning back in his chair, you're free to go by the way. Naruto nodded, so when do I meet this psych? If you pass the initiation, within a couple days, she'll contact you, Osban tells him as he watched the blonde, understanding what he was saying. Osban then looked at Naruto, but I think you'll be fine. Though hand-to-hand isn't your full strong suit, you scored an A rank across the board on everything else. Your aura manipulation, in fact, scored an S rank. When you're alone, Naruto took a deep breath, nothing much else to do but train. Naruto was walking into a large open cafeteria, he held his new student handbook. It detailed policies that were never really touched on or just outright forbidden in Signal. The blonde had found an empty table, taking a seat at it. Intent to read the guideline in peace before going to get something to eat. Although discouraged, alcohol is allowed on the premises during every Saturday and Sunday, festivals, and holidays. Students are to be expected to keep drinking to a minimum and to keep any intoxicated students from leaving the school grounds or going into Emerald Forest. Failure results in the first punishment being revoking of this privilege, the second failure results in suspension, the third failure is expulsion. The handbook read on the matter of alcohol, Naruto flipped the page. Students here are encouraged to form friendships with their fellow team members once assigned. Sometimes, we understand, these friendships become something on a deeper level. Thusly we understand that the age most students come in is an age where hormones also flare wildly. In the medical wing of the building, you can request condoms, or if you're a female student, you can also request to be prescribed birth control. Naruto hummed a little bit, it seemed Beacon was much more progressive, despite holding on to old ideas, everyone had their individual right. Turning the page, Naruto looked at the handbook, humming slightly. A student's health is key, thusly it is your responsibility to protect it. Illnesses that can be spread by sexual contact should be reported, confidentiality is promised, and you shall be treated with respect throughout the course of treatment. Good fight. Naruto's eyes snapped open as he dodged a bowl of mashed potatoes that were slammed into the wall next to him, whoever threw that has terrible aim. Naruto suddenly felt his ears twitched, crap. Naruto ducked as a watermelon sails over him, rolling forward as it smashed into the wall behind him. The blonde found a large loaf of bread on the ground, he dashed to it, grabbing and applying aura into the bread to stiffen it as much as possible. Just then several milk cartons were lobbed like grenades, and from Naruto could see, a glow around them possibly made them as such. Using the stiffened bead Naruto batted the cartoons away, even back toward a tall girl that was throwing them. It impacted her, covering her in white and chocolate milk, even strawberry. What a waste of good strawberry milk, Naruto lamented as he held the bread like it was his sword. Come. Asshole. The girl screams as she throws several food items at him. However, stepping forward, like a fencer, Naruto swipes them out of the area. He jumped up and kicked a bowl of mashed potatoes back at her. It crashed into her, covering her head in the substance. The blonde then dodged a watermelon, running across cafeteria before dodging another. He identified the assailant and went about finding an opening. Finally, he found it as the person grabbed a bunch pudding dishes. Then the fox Franus took a deep breath as he smacked them away with a loaf of bread as they were thrown. Turning and grabbing another one out of midair before throwing it back. He managed to get the person in the head, knocking them down onto the floor. He moved as several bowls of food flew toward him, he placed the loaf of bread to his side like he would his sword, and when the bowls got near, he slashed the loaf across his field of vision. All the bowls broke, their contents spilling across his area, but the wind from the slash blew anything away from him. Taking a deep breath, he saw someone move out of the corner of his vision, Daichi. What? A large teen yelled as he hurled watermelons across the room. The girl wearing a bonnet slammed the table, flipping it for cover, don't let pizza sauce get on my clothes man, sheesh, I'm a VIP here. A splash of tomatoes suddenly impacted the large teen, some of it flying onto the girl's bonnet, mother. She bit her tongue at the end, hit them back already. I'm trying damn it, Cole, screw you. Daichi screams as he picked up some jelly and slings it at the student he screamed at. Coco yelps when mashed potatoes nearly splash on her. Sliding over and bumping against an auburn-haired teen. The teen nearly was toppled over when she impacted him, the teen turned around and looked right at her. Coco, seriously, a boy with auburn hair by her and blank eyes stated as he tossed apples across the school with Daichi, where's Velvet? Crap. Daichi saw Velvet unarmed, running for cover, she's got the worst luck in these cases. Suddenly he saw a blonde fox Franus behind her, only to watch him grab another piece of bread after tossing pie into a student's face. Using the 2 loaves in his hands, Naruto spun around as he knocked away food, using his dancing skills and self-training to the fullest as he blocked and knocked away various food. He looked behind him, noting that a bunny girl was taking cover behind a table. Is this a common thing? Naruto inquires as he jumped up to avoid a chair. The girl nodded, it happens a couple times a year, sometimes more, in this case more. Naruto nodded, jumping up and throwing one of the loaves into an older student. Landing back down, he used his lone loaf to swipe at incoming food, sighing as he put one hand behind him. The girl, Velvet, looked at him and blinked. She then looked to her side, finding a tray, here. Naruto caught it with his hand, flipping it over to where he could use his aura to grip it and turn it into a small shield. Naruto blocked food thrown at him, hopping over the table and flipping it over to hide with the rabbit. Franus leaned back against it. "Never seen you here before, transfer?" she inquired. "No, still what they call an unproven, I am here early," Naruto replies as he peeked up and barely avoided a bowl of spaghetti. He then had an idea, smashing the bread loaf to where it was. Then he reached over from the bowl, plucking a few strings of spaghetti before tying them at the ends to form a makeshift food bow. Naruto took a deep breath. Now with his strongest skill coming into play, Naruto could now use archery with food, playing to the distance and return fire. The blonde fox Franus took a deep breath, grabbing a long asparagus stick and placing it on the noodle string which had aura flowing into it. "You're a newbie, holy crap, you're not supposed to be engaging us," Velvet pointed out as she looked around, finding there was an exit door. "You need to leave." "What?" Naruto pulled the stick back and looked like a coward. "No, you could get in trouble," Velvet stated, "I could give you covering fire." Naruto rolled his eyes, "Fine, don't cover me though." "Right," she grabbed several bowls, "Go." Naruto ran from the table's cover, jumping and vaulting off another table. He dodged several food items before launching the stick and making hit a larger teen in the head which knocked him out. He landed, somersaulting just in time to avoid another round of foods being thrown at him. "Why the hell are they targeting me?" Naruto mentally screamed as he dashed for the door, sliding across the ground when he neared it. Taking a deep breath, Naruto rolled and got behind the wall. "Holy crap, this place is nuts." "Not again, not again, not again." Naruto looked up to see Glinda running toward the cafeteria. She flung open the door, only to get hit the face by a pumpkin pie. The blonde against the wall couldn't help it, he struggled, but slowly the snickering broke into laughter. He took a deep breath when she turned her fierce green eyes toward him. He fidgeted slightly, he felt like he was staring right into a demon's eyes. "What's so funny, Mr. Namikaze?" Glinda inquires in a sickly sweet tone. She smacks her riding crop on her hand. "Then nothing, hahaha, just well." Naruto took a deep breath. "I didn't start this, Dadabeo." "Oh, I know." Glinda turned to face the cafeteria, "but you will be there to help since you participated." "Huh?" Naruto looked at his bread bow, frowning. "Rule of thumb, destroy evidence." "Winds be damned, what the hell happened to my cafeteria?" Glinda suddenly roared as she kicked open the doors. Naruto made a note not to get on her bad side, she already scared him enough. Walking into the common room, Naruto yawns. It was an interesting first day here. Taking a few steps toward the couch, Naruto collapsed down into it, his muffled mumbling into the pillow only signified the amount of exhaustion he felt. Linda had made him, along with several students, scrub the cafeteria. He should have eaten the damn bow when he had the chance. He was hungry, not like before, but still, he felt his stomach grumble. Getting up off the couch, he growled a little bit as he held his stomach. Alright, sheesh," Naruto mumbled as he walked toward the refrigerator. He saw an assortment of food inside. Humming, he reaches in and grabs a few sandwich meats. Making a turkey and ham sandwich with some wheat bread from the top of the refrigerator, he goes back to the couch. It was currently 1 in the morning. He took a moment to sit and get comfortable. Feeling something dig into his back, he looked to the side and found a remote. He hadn't watched any sort of TV in years. Unless it was on his scroll he never bothered, films and all, and Veilflix was on a sort of decline. Looking at the small plasma screen across from him, shrugging, he turns it on and found that it was on a mystery show called VNCIS, Vela Navy Criminal Investigation Service. He leaned back, looking at the characters chasing a perp through an alley, only for an older man to tackle him. "Damn Gibbs," a rather good-looking man said. How the hell?" "It's called Marine Training Donazo," the older man, Gibbs told the younger man, "Cuff him." The blonde found himself smiling. He looked at them dragging the bad guy in. This seems interesting. Osborn was in his office in the morning, looking at Professor Peach. She was sitting in the chair in front of him. The resident dust expert and medical professional took a look at the file in front of her. She hummed, her peach-colored hair that was in twirls bounced as she nodded her head, her sapphire-colored eyes skimmed through the file of Naruto Namikaze. The dark-skinned beauty listened to what he had to say with fervor. She took her job seriously in these matters. Finally, she watches him finish talking and then gives her evaluation of what he had just said. "Are you sure you haven't made a mistake by letting him in?" Peach inquires as she shifted in her seat. Osborn looked right into her eyes. "I have made plenty of errors in my lifetime, Professor. However, accepting wayward students has never been one of them. If we allow youth to go wasted, talent to be ignored, that's just a victory for Grimm." Each time, every time, we allow those who could have been taught to slip our fingers they win. Because our motto is very simple. Ospen replied. Only through practice and knowledge can I, a huntsman, become a vanguard. Ospen recites from memory, since he came up with the motto himself. Each side, true, but even then, we must take into the account of someone's baggage that they bring with them. An A rank is difficult to achieve, but he's across the board with an S rank in aura manipulation. A skill that many students don't properly learn until their junior year. Ospen points out and then looks at her, he's a prodigy and he even knows it. But, Peach looked right into the file, that doesn't change the fact that there are core issues. Abandonment issues, not to mention the hell that was the little snippet about the supposed child abuse at the hand of his foster family for a time. There could be so many things wrong with him, no one comes out from that with just depression. Especially if they remain closed off, they feel guilt, they feel like they're at fault. Peach argues as she crosses her arms, quite frankly speaking it's a volatile mix. Also, she reached over and grabbed the file. I want to point out how he describes his depression as a second little voice in his head. Which means. Ospen wanted clarity. There are much bigger issues than clinical depression and that someone in Atlas needs to be fired for not referring him to a psychologist. And, I'm not talking about Winter. Peach hisses as she leaned back into her chair, Ironwood. James means well Ospen sighs, but he has a history of pushing his students a bit too rough sometimes. Which is exactly why we model our ways the opposite, while he believes power brings strength, knowledge and patience brings clarity. The headmaster continued as he took a sip of his cocoa. So, are we keeping Naruto Namikaze? Peach inquired, if I need to prep for interview. Yes, Ospen answers her, we are going to keep him. Chapter 6. Episode 6. Unproven. Yang got up from bed, she looked at her sister, sis. Ruby eyes opened wide, wah what? The day is the day. Yang cheers, picking up her sister, and we need to get going. Why Yang? Ruby yells and looks at the clock, gah. Ruby and Yang started getting dressed, looking at the bags that they had packed, they both were going to Beacon. Turns out Ruby was a little Billy badass and managed to stop a dust robbery a few days before graduation. That granted her access to Beacon, apparently it impressed the headmaster of the academy enough to let her in. Yang was the first to get ready, grabbing her gear and other stuff. She quickly got the keys to her motorcycle, Bumblebee. Ruby come on, work on your corset later. Yang barks as she exits the room. The little sister of Yang managed to fix her corset, running out of the room while slipping her combat boots on. They both run downstairs, where their father was waiting. Taeyang had breakfast made, a whole meal. Hey girls, Taeyang greeted his family with a smile. I made you both breakfast. They looked at the clock, noting that the time, they had plenty of it. Quickly they both sat at the table, with Taeyang watching them as they said a quick prayer and began to eat. They both had coffee, well, Ruby's was mixed with a little bit of milk. Taeyang sighs, I think me and Crow raised them right, Summer. Ruby lets out a loud burp, causing Yang to stop eating and look at her sister. The little girl had an innocent-looking grimace, she rubbed the back of her head. Wow Ruby, you really rose to the occasion, Yang punned at Ruby's expense. Really Yang, Ruby whimpers, really? Yep. Yang said chirpily as she reached over and grabbed some salt. The two girls quickly finished their breakfast, Taeyang stood at the door, which was open for them. Yang walks up first and gives her dad a big hug. The man smiles, holding her as he looked down at her blonde hair and gave a kiss on her head. It was his baby girls and he had to let them go into the world. It was hard on him and as Yang walked out of the door Ruby was next. She slammed into him, hugging him hard and squeezing tightly. The rows of the family then slowly walked out of the door just as Yang pulled up with Bumblebee. Yang then took a deep breath, walking outside, girls. Yang opened her visor, yeah dad. I love you both, Tai tells them with a big goofy smile on his face. Your mother would be proud. Thanks dad, Yang looks at him as she thanked him. Both looked at each other, Ruby suddenly started having tears coming out of her eyes, we'll call every day. And I'll make sure Ruby doesn't go off and get a boyfriend. Yang offers up, laughing when she saw her sister pout. The tears drying from her eyes, Yang. Ruby got on, getting a red helmet from her sister, they took one look back at their dad who was the door. They waved at him and Yang began to drive off. Yang stood there at the door, slowly a tear fell from his face. He stayed standing there until finally, the sound of Yang's motorcycle was drowned out from the background noise of the forest. There and then, Taeyang began to weep as he slid down his door, wish you were here to see this summer our babies. Really? Taeyang looked up at the familiar voice to find Crow, you're gonna break down on a happy day. Crow sighs as he took a seat by Taeyang, holding a beer out to him, it isn't a goodbye Tai. Yeah, Taeyang agreed as he took a sip of the beer. I just wish she was here to see it. Both Crow and Taeyang looked up at the tree, there under it was Summer's grave. I know Crow put his arm around Taeyang's shoulder, wish she was here too buddy. Do you think she's watching right now? She's probably laughing at me for crying. Taeyang confesses as he rubbed the back of his head, right. Nah, Crow disagreed as he took a sip from his beer. I think she's crying with you. She loved them both very much and I think she's weeping because both her girls are growing up. She loved Yang like she had given birth to her, even nursed when she was young, Taeyang said as he took a deep breath. I didn't appreciate her like I should've. Bullshit, Crow stated as he looked at her grave and pointed at it. We did everything we could to raise them. You know Crow, despite what you say, you'd actually make a good father. Taeyang said to his longtime friend, you know. Still waiting on the right woman, Crow answers as he thought about one in particular. But you know how it is. Ah, Tai already knew who he was referring to, well it'll all work out in the end. Hopefully, know what I said to Naruto before he left? Crow questioned Taeyang. Taeyang looked at him, what? I wish I had son like him, yeah he's got problems, but I goddamn if not proud of him constantly fighting against them. Me, I turn to the bottle every so often, skirt-chazzing Crow took a deep breath, those girls and that kid I feel like is the only thing I did right in world. Nah man, you did plenty of rights, and we've done plenty of wrongs. However, guilt is only effective if you let continue to eat you. We did our duty, we did what thought was right, no one could ever fault us on that part. Taeyang took a deep breath and got up and offered his hand to Crow. Come on I saved you plate, Taeyang smiles. Naruto was waking up, yawning as he got off the couch, he really needed to thank Velvet for stopping by and handing him a blanket. He had a book on the floor, a book he procured from the library late at night. Luckily it was open 24 hours a day. He had quickly gotten bored of TV and decided to read some books. He specifically got manga books, with Samurai Champion and Kitsu, a well-known anime character with a demonic heritage, working with a sworn enemy to save the world. Closing the book, he puts on a shirt and quickly goes about grabbing his gear and getting ready for the day. Walking over to the fridge the blonde got out some sandwich meats and just ate it. He didn't bother to make a sandwich with it, just ate it. Walking over toward the door of the common room he exits. The hallway was silent, unlike the last few days. The second-year students were going to help with student registry. Listening to music in his human ears, Naruto hums as he walks his way down the halls. His sketchpad was in his belt line, he always kept it there, just in case he found inspiration to draw. The teen made his way outside, there, fresh rain was slowly settling into the ground. He saw where gardeners had neglected to take care of the gardens around the center fountain of Beacon. Frowning, Naruto walks over the patch of sunflowers. Weeds were slowly choking the life out of them, and without thinking much about he drops down to his knees and begins to pull out the weeds. Taking the muddy soil that came up with each pull and cupping it over the base of the sunflower to give it extra nutrients that would soak downwards with the rain heading toward the water table. Pretty soon, he lost himself into the task, quickly straightening up some more of the garden as he went along. Osmond was sitting in his office, looking out of his window at the blonde. Even basic of life, precious life, isn't lost to you. Osmond smiles as he watches the clouds give way to the sun, but I can't put my finger on it, I feel like we've met before. Yang was watching as a blonde-haired teen hurled into the trash can, wow. I know right, Ruby said as she looked at her sister. Some people can't handle flying. Yep, Yang agrees as she leans against the bay doors. To be fair, I used to have that problem. True, Ruby agreed and smiled. But that was when we were kids. Anyone got any meds? The blonde teen inquires as he slumped down and onto the floor. Nope. Yang popped. Ruby nods, not going anywhere near there, last thing I need is upchuck on my battle skirt. Ruby you have a lot of battle skirts, Yang quoted with her fingers. They're just skirts. Nah, they're battle skirts, meh. Ruby stuck her tongue out at her sister. Yang took a moment and looked out of the windows, I see Beacon. Ruby rushes to the window, her eyes glitter with glee, ah. So cool, Ruby says with excitement, I can't wait. Yeah, me and my baby sister fighting side by side, kicking grim ass. Who knows, Yang looked slyly at Ruby, I could be the leader of our foursome. Ruby looked at Yang, really a perverted pun. Second verse, same as the first, perverted puns aren't the worst. Yang rhymed as she winked at the vomiting boy, who only groans. Well yeah I can rhyme too, you know, are you slow? Ruby nervously tried to rhyme, much to Yang's entertainment. I know what you are, but what am I? Yang countered. Ruby groans, pinching her nose, my brain. They then heard a new reporter come over the hologram in the center, this is Vela News Network. I'm Lisa Lavender. From a few nights ago an attack at the From Dusk Till Dawn dust shop is still being investigated. Believed to be in connection with other robberies committed by the Torchwick gang. Any and all information will be helpful in the capture of these dangerous rapscallions. In other news today, the rains from the morning are going to give way for a pleasant October day. Get out there, enjoy the pleasant weather, because it will soon start dropping. The weather control centers all agree this winter as well will be bitter cold, but let's not also forget that good news is in the air today. The hologram sputtered for a moment before changing over to one of a blonde-haired woman. Hello, allow me to welcome you to Beacon Academy. You're among the privileged few who have gained the honor to attend our prestigious academy in time of unprecedented peace. To which, as huntsmen in training, will your task to maintain and grow. Welcome, everyone felt the jolt of the airship landing, to Beacon Academy. Ruby was the first one out, she looked at the academy with the joys of a princess looking at her castle. Her eyes gleamed, glowing with excitement as she saw various people finally leave their aircraft. Oh my god, Yang, look. Ruby pointed towards several people, drawing to attention slightly, that guy has a flame sword, she has chakrams. Yeah, Ruby. Hey, tone it down a little, alright. Yang looks around for her friends. Yang then got swarmed by her friends, all of them dragging her, sorry Rubes, I'll see you inside. No, Yang, wait. Ruby screams, but they fell on deaf ears as Yang ran inside of Beacon. At least that was the plan until her friends and her bumped into a crouching Naruto when they weren't paying attention. Midori and Sasha kept going, it was race to them, while Iris got up and rejoined them. Yang on the other hand looked at the teen below her, oh god, we're so sorry. It's cool, the blonde fox Frana says as he gets up, rubbing his head. My mom always said I was hard-headed. Ah, are you a gardener? Yang inquires, trying to make sure she got him pegged rightly. No, I'm a student here. In fact, I'm new arrival, I just got here early. You know, just working to pass the time. Naruto rubs the back of his head where the lump was forming, who are you? Oh, damn that's right, I'm Yang. She throws her hand out in front of him. He took it, shaking it, I'm Naruto. Naruto, huh, name sounds familiar. So she looked him over a little, you good? Oh yeah, totally, see around I gotta go yell at my friends for not stopping. Frigging jerks I tell ya, she said and then stopped, I swear you look familiar. Nah, I don't think I've ever been near you. Naruto told her, lying. She shrugs and quickly runs to get back with her friends. The blonde sighs, looking at the finished garden. It was already looking healthier, but as he went to step away his ears picked up arguing. That's when he saw her, why Shni. That's Ruby, but what's she doing here and what's that red stuff oh shit. Boom. Osmond was looking outside, watching as Ruby rose and why Shni literally exploded. The man should have been freaking out, worrying about them, but instead he just casually sipped his cocoa. They were fine, their aura protected them, but the funny thing about it was the only thing on his mind right now was what he was going to have for dinner tonight. Call it irony due to the explosion. Osmond sips his mug. But I believe I am in the mood for something spicy tonight. He hums a little and some fried ice cream lords know I need comfort. Ah, they're fine, just a little singed. Well, Ruby is anyway, Shni on the other hand well she's Shni. Osmond hummed while he muses, oh well. He walks away from the window, stopping slightly, wait a bloody second. He walks backward, literally, and comes back to the window. He stares out the window, adjusting his bifocals, he noticed another blonde-haired teen, one that was stumbling off the aircraft. Color me impressed. Osmond frowns at the window, well if you survive long enough for me to actually debate keeping here John Arc. Ah you idiot. The snow-colored girl yells. Ruby was shaking the singe off her, literally, me. You're the one waving the cracked vial around like a madwoman. Do you have any idea who I am? The girl yells. Why Shni both stopped arguing, turning to a black-haired girl with yellow eyes, heiress to the Shni Dust Company family fortune. See, Weiss points at the girl, it's nice to get some recognition. Yeah about that, the girl looks at Weiss, your family dealings are just legal forms of bribery and theft. Honestly, your father is probably the worst crook on Remnant. Weiss couldn't respond, all she could do was hang her mouth open and her pointing finger droop. The mysterious girl just sighs, walking away, and when Weiss finally regained her composure, the man escorting her things to storage began anew. Ruby took the moment to get away, using her semblance. Weiss growls as she looks around, growling as she walks toward the school, out of the way gardener. She brushes past Naruto, who just stands there. Exploding girls, an heiress, a mysterious girl, and one that should know me go with flow Naruto, Databeo Naruto mused before walking toward Beacon. Only then did someone run by him, with a blonde of her by her side, hey you. Naruto hummed. Have you seen my big sis? She's tall, blonde, lilac eyes very chesty. Ruby inquires. Yeah, she and friends ran me over, that went toward the front entrance. Naruto told them, need help. No, I'll find her, thank you. She yells while running with the other blonde, but then slows down when taking a corner. The blonde sighed, walking through the school, into the auditorium where the students would be gathered for Osmond's speech. Naruto found himself a nice back corner, where no one else would probably like to stand. Pressing himself against the wall, sketchpad in tow, Naruto had begun to draw out the area. Taking notes of the various things, including the stage, he lost himself in the scribbling so much that he never noticed the auditorium starting to fill up with people. He lost himself enough in the sketching that he flipped pages. He even made a sketch of the recently met fellow blonde, Yang X.L. He knew her. He knew her simply because they had gone to school together, and it hurt to meet her because despite them going in the same school together for over a year, she just thought he was gardener here. Sighing in his thoughts, he couldn't help but think of her. He never really got up close to her before, so he never took note of how she looked. She had Taeyang's eyes, his jawline, but everything else had to come from her mother. The fiery beauty. Chuckling, Naruto began to sketch her. The details were very spot on for just having met her true face to face. If Taeyang was anything to go by, Naruto knew she was bubbly, always talking. Tai had a motor mouth. It reminded him of his mom. She was always talking. Business, work, life, gardening, and even poetry she wrote. Naruto kept a scrapbook of all her poetry work. It was one of the most precious things he kept, with it being locked in a lockbox along with his mother's necklace. The lockbox itself was by her urn in the storage unit he had under the courtyard. Tapping on the mic, the booming sound of loudspeakers, all brought Naruto to focus on Osban as he took the stage. I'll keep this brief. You have traveled here today in search of knowledge to hone your craft and acquire new skills. And when you have finished, you plan to dedicate your life to the protection of the people. But I look amongst you, and all I see is wasted energy, in need of purpose and direction. You assume knowledge will free you of this, but your time at this school will prove that knowledge can only carry you so far. It is up to you to take the first step. Osban spoke with fervor in the mic. He looked at the students. Thank you for your time. The students looked at each other. The new ones all looked about. Were they being scolded? Linda then took the podium. Alright children, listen up. For all new students here today, you are deemed unproven, fresh and truly not proven enough to fully walk these halls with your heads up high. So, tomorrow morning, an initiation test will take place tomorrow morning. You'll be able to access locker rooms for the freshman wing that morning. Grab ammo if you need it, sharpen your weapons if you must. Linda put her hands behind her back, looking at all of them, because the test is a live fire exercise, and no one is promised safety, unlike the vocational academies you've come from. She then took a deep breath. You all will sleep here, in the auditorium, tonight. Those who pass tomorrow's exam will be known as proven, and will go forward to experience education, in the ways of a huntsman. Those who die, though tragic, will be retrieved later on. For those that fail the exam, do not fret, you can always improve and take it next time. Glinda then nodded and looked at the students. Welcome to the academy. Standing on the top of an observation tower, sneaking away from everyone, Naruto found himself in sweet loneliness, sketching on the sketchpad with excitement as he saw several rare birds standing on the railing of the observation tower. Blue mockingjays, their beautiful wings fluttered in the winds. He managed to sketch several different ones as they flew and landed on the railing. Eating out of a food container full of birdseed, the blonde turned to the sound of chirping. He looked up, seeing a small nest. However, his eyes widened when he noticed a giant wolf spider crawling toward it. Using his pencil, Naruto threw it with pinpoint accuracy and hit the spider in the thorax, impaling it and making it fall to the floor. Getting his pencil from the spider, Naruto just wipes the blood on his pants left leg. Twirling the pencil back around to continuing sketching, he then felt something on his shoulder. Rolling his eyes, he turned his head only to find a large light blue mockingjay on his shoulder. It chirps like it was talking to him. The blonde smiled and held out his finger. It flew down to it, chirping, even more, facing him. Taking a minute, the blonde followed the pattern and whistled himself. The bird calls back to it, making him chuckle. I once read in a book you're supposed to very intelligent. Naruto raised his finger up to the nest. Are these your babies? The bird hopped up into the nest, lying next to the chicks while chirping at Naruto still. The blonde used his index finger to gently brush against the bird. The blonde closed his eyes and smiled. You're a very beautiful mother. Never took the artist for an outdoorsman. A familiar voice filled the room. Naruto turned to see Osban. Osban waved him off, and mockingjays are very intelligent birds. In fact, that one's named Celica. How do you know that? For all you know she could be called Sherry. Naruto responds with a scoff as he leaned against the wall. Osban chuckles, because I breed them. Wait, Naruto looked at the birds. You breed mockingjays? Of course, I do. The other female running about is called Katniss and Prim, named after the legendary huntress and healer sisters. They haven't rooted yet, but they mostly fly around Celica as a sword click if you will. Osban holds his finger out, kissing at the bird. The bird surprisingly flew onto the man's finger. The headmaster smirked. Ah, Celica. Have thou been nestling her eggs too little? Too little? Aren't birds supposed to have a maternal instinct? Naruto asked. Yes, but like humans and faunas, they aren't perfect. In fact, Osmond placed Celica back in her nest, the imperfection of life is what makes its beauty prevalent. The colors of a painting, chaos given form, otherwise if it was all uniformed, it'd just be a blank white canvas, no. Osmond yawns as he looked at the blonde, watching him nod. Naruto nodded, so, is it true there is a chance of dying during tomorrow's test? Yes, Osmond looked at Naruto, you aren't just going to walk in and get mauled, are you? No, Naruto waved him off, just wondering. They turned to see Kakashi standing there, all areas of the school secured, I figured that this kid would be out of the group. Ah, Kakashi, I was merely talking to the boy about my mockingjays. Anyway, as it stands Naruto, you are in violation of a rule just set, please return to the auditorium. Osmond orders him as he walks him toward Kakashi, have a good rest, you shall need it. Yang was with Ruby, my god, you really did explode. Yeah, she did, this klutz almost killed us both. A white-haired girl with an offsetting ponytail yelled and pointed at Ruby, why is a child even here? Well, I got invited here by Osmond. Ruby points out. Please, Weiss rolled her eyes, like the most prestigious headmaster of the 4 main academies, just invite small little girls into a huntsman academy. Okay, whoa and back the hell off, my sis could kick your ass, Yang states as she looked at the girl. Please, Weiss scoffed as she spoke, she couldn't last 10 seconds in an actual fight. Weiss, I was top of my class, Ruby stated as she crossed her arms, and I even beat my dad using weapons. And, Yang sings out, our dad was a huntsman. Weiss hummed, well, then you can back up your words in the test then. But, unlike Daddy Dearest, Grim wouldn't go easy on anyone. The FFT, you just need to worry about yourself girly, because I am pretty sure it is you who need a wake-up call. Yang jabs her finger into Weiss's chest, so nighty-night sweetie. Yang watched as Weiss scoffs, walking away with audible humph. The blonde lilac-eyed girl just shook her head, looking down at her sister, ruffling the girl's mixture of black and red. I'm proud of you, Yang laughed, you already made a rival here. You did most of the talking for me, and she's right, Dad was going easy. I mean, he still kicks your butt and now I have to back that up somehow, Goblay, can you help me out a little? Both turned to the raven-haired girl, who was reading a book that was not porn and definitely not daydreaming of being a character in that book. The particular scene for which, luckily, the candlelight hit her blushing. After all, it was about a cat Phronis, much like herself, seducing a fox god. Though, to be fair, they played it coy for a long time before just jumping into the sack together. She looked up from her book, trying to rationalize with a shni is the same of trying to talk to a Beowulf. Wow, Yang chuckles a little bit, so you're just going to let her go. People like the shni just love to bark orders, get waited on, and in the end, they only produced a single honorable heir, and they disinherited her. Blake shut her book, and that woman currently is in the military. Yang giggles as she sits down, we'll definitely be good friends. Blake couldn't help it, she chuckled a little, maybe. Hey, who knows, we could end Yanging out. Yang punned. Blake looked up at the blonde-haired teen, really? I apologize on behalf of my sister, Ruby said as she looked at Yang. She hummed and watched as a white-haired man escorted a blonde into the room, I'll be hot Dragoness it is. Blake looked up, guy. Yeah, when we arrived, I rushed off to meet with my friends, and we almost ran down another student on the way in. Could have sworn I saw him somewhere before we came here. Yang says as she leaned back on her pillow. Well, for one, he was carrying a weapon, Blake looked at it, and it's a Chikudo. Let me guess, Ruby slid to where she was in front of Blake and eyed her weapon, katana. Katana Kusarigama gun hybrid, I made it myself in Mistral. Blake quickly responds as she closed her book, do you believe in personal space by the way Ruby? A little, yeah, whoa. Ruby was pushed back a little by Blake, making her fall on her rear. Blake chuckled, thank you very much. But is it possible you went to school with him? Blake inquires, trying to help solve the mystery. Yang hummed, thinking, well he's a faunus, and there wasn't many of them in Signal. Yang walked into class, it was weapons modification, she had her gauntlets on her hands. She hummed as she took a seat by Amber and Pyrite, humming as she began to dismantle her gauntlets. A few other students walked in, with a blonde walking in behind them. He had fox ears, he walked toward the back of the class, leaning against the wall in a chair and taking a nap. Boy, isn't that the loser that always sleeps in class? Sasha asked, playing with her dirty blonde hair. Midori shrugs, don't know, I heard that he still passes his tests though. How do they let losers like that here, I mean come on, take this shit seriously. We're going to be defending humanity and Fraunis kind. You can't even bother staying awake for one class, then you shouldn't be here, right Yang? Iris inquires her friend's opinion. Yang nodded, well duh, we're supposed to be working hard. Maybe he comes from money, I don't know, but you're right when it comes down to it, we have no use for lazy people. Seriously, like what a loser, he's worse than Cardin, at least the jerk puts an effort in. Midori rolls her eyes and sighs, if he goes into Beacon we need to list as an AACP. Avoid at all cost person, ooh, Sasha grimaced. Yeah, he'll just bring a team down, hey Yang you in there? Midori inquires, she leaned back, working on her war axe with a grinder. Yeah, of course, I am, let's just get to work, Yang says as she begins to modify her weapons. Yang leaned up as she declares, oh my god, now I recognize him. She looked at Ruby, he's an AACP. Oh crap, really, that bad? Ruby gasped as she questioned Yang. Yes, Yang pinched her nose, damn it how did he make it in, all he does is sleep in class. Blake grumbled, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it is not there. Both girls turned to her, she sighed, all I am saying is Osborne wouldn't be shallow to take someone so lazy in unless they do put the work in secretly. No, Yang pointed out as she saw her two friends and their boyfriends laying together, my friends share classes with him, and all he did was sleep and sleep. Blake hummed, well, I never did say that he wasn't lazy. However, might I point that monks always eat and pray, but that is what they're supposed to do. It doesn't make them lazy, if you don't see what goes on in someone else's life, then don't judge them. Blake argues as she leaned back on the wall some more. I'm not judging, Yang argued. I just know what I saw for over a year, every day except for combat and range class, he even got taken in for cheating at one point. He did. Ruby questions at her sister, but then why did dad keep him in the school? I don't know Ruby, I wish I knew, that's all Iris, Midori and Sasha ever barked on about. How we put in the work and yet someone so lazy managed to get in. Yang grumbles, no wonder they ran him over should have kept walking. And be worse. Blake questioned Yang as she looked at the lilac-eyed girl, really need to calm down and observe the situation a little bit better. Really, how so, you don't know him? Yang shot back at Blake. The hazel-eyed girl just glared at Yang, and you just couldn't remember him. Trust me when I say this Yang, you can judge people all you want, but most likely the people you judge doesn't judge you. All it does, being serious, makes you out to be a jerk. Blake finishes. Yang rolls her eyes at Blake, I'm done with this conversation over a boy, besides there are others to focus on. Blake sighs, true, but still consider what I said. I will, she then pointed at her head. See, considered. Blake sighs, looking over at Ruby, so how do you feel being here Ruby? Ruby sighed, well, now it just feels overwhelming that we're here. Well get some sleep, Yang told her sister. We're gonna be busting our asses tomorrow. Blake nodded, now that I can get behind. Across the room, Naruto just huddled on the corner of a wall, yawning as he looked out of the window and toward the moon. Taking a deep breath, he closes his eyes and falls into a deep slumber. No, I'm not saying that Kushina, I'm just saying that our son the most important one in all of this. An older blonde with whisker marks on his face stated to a retarded woman, her face was flushed with anger. She jabbed her finger into his chest, I don't care if that mission pays 1,000,000,000 liens, you're not going on it. It'll just be really quick, in and out, and I'll be back in time to celebrate our son's 4th birthday I promise. The older man cupped the woman's cheek, besides you know about my special skillset, it's not like I'll go down super easy. Kushina couldn't help it, she just laughed, I just love you, and I don't want nothing to happen to you. The man laughed, gods, you remind me of my mother, but I promise you that'll be home and even bring the carrot cake. He laughs, who'd thunk it that our son would be a fox frontis that loved carrot cake. The woman laughed, stroking his cheek, well like mother like son, I guess. I loved carrots growing up, about the only vegetable I'd eat in ramen. Ramen isn't a vegetable. The man jokingly points out. Bull, it's made from rice and wheat, it is a vegetable. Kushina argues as she glared at her husband. They both turned to a toddler in a chair, the man walked over to the toddler, hey buddy what you are working on there? You daddy, the toddler laughs, I love you, daddy. I love you too Naruto, my little sunshine. The man rubbed the toddler's head, taking a seat next to him. The older blonde laughed, you got my face askew there. As what? The toddler inquires. Askew little man, it means it's off, the man reached over and helped guide his son's hand. Kushina looked at him, he needs to go to bed. The man got up, smiling as he picked up the toddler, I know I'll take him to bed. The woman smiled, winking at him a little. I'll be in the living room come cuddle with me when you tuck him in. Taking his son into the room, the man, Minato slowly placed his son into the bed. The man stroked the child's head, kissing it. Hey, the man questions his son, you remember our little lullaby? The little boy nodded, coughing a little, and he looked up at his dad. You are my sunshine my only sunshine, you make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Minato and his son sang as the boy yawns toward the end of it. The boy cuddled against his father's hand. Please don't take my sunshine away they heard the boy yawn some more, only to slowly watch him fall asleep. The last thing the child felt as sleep took him was his father's lips pressing against his forehead. For the very last time. Naruto was still laying against the wall, Kakashi was making his rounds in the room, some students were awake. However, he didn't notice them, he did notice Naruto alone in the corner. He was humming in his sleep. He watched as the blonde's mouth opened, "Please don't take my sunshine away." The white-haired man sighed, he watches as the blonde had a tear going down his face. What if Naruto has harem with Ilia and Yang XL rwby end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.